This is Kate Baconsale. You're listening to Baconsale.
The name's Podcast. Baconsale Podcast. You killed my darlings. Prepare to die. I will have my bracket in this life or the next. I live my life a quarter podcast at a time. Because Baconsale finds a way.
It was the impression at the end that sold it.
Yeah. You can't
Microphone
just do that.
preference for the win. Yes,
I got that.
Jimmy Stewart?
Well, welcome to Baconsale. I'm Joel.
I'm Kent.
And I'm Zack.
I'd like to thank you for listening to our last show, our Oscar prediction show. No, we are not announcing the winners
Jeez, you
today.
scared me.
I don't want people to pop in this episode and be like, oh, the Oscars just happened yesterday, so they're going to be talking about
12.
the winner today.
Did I win?
Yeah, that's not today. We're going to do that on a later Bacon Bit, so you can look forward to that.
Indeed.
I will say, though, I have to say a comment that I found on Twitter from @Samuel Ma said, well, I got 13 out of 24 correct on my Baconsale Oscars bracket. You know what that means? It means 54% of the time I'm an excellent guesser. Is a thing he said March 4th, 2018.
Oh, 2018.
It's a reference from Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got that. But yes, we look forward to telling you more about all of that, the Oscar predictions and what happened, because let's tell you, it was nuts. It was crazy.
Oh, man.
What happened
Did you believe
yesterday
that happened on live TV?
again?
It didn't slap as hard as last year, though.
No. And I still have that Best Picture winner that we are all thinking of right now. I can't believe it won Best Picture.
Crazy. Again.
Again.
Can I give a shout out? Legitimate, real shout out.
Please do.
Thank you, Jeff. You know who you are. At RIP Bert Convey, who said that you are one of the 3 or 4 people who appreciates this episode.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Your voice counts.
I've
Your vote
actually
counts.
heard, and I heard specifically as well from Barbara Blake, who I work with. He said, it's nice to be informed about these movies I'm never going to watch.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that is the sentiment that I feel that this episode brings forth.
I actually enjoy preparing for them only because it helps me go, oh, out of all these movies, that one interests me that I wouldn't have thought about before.
Right.
I feel like there's generally one you can walk away from and go, oh, nice.
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't watch that otherwise, but glad I did.
Yeah. Speaking of thank yous, I would like to give a thank you to David Martin.
Hey, Dave.
Who is our newest patron. He's a tier 1 patron, but he's in the tier 3 level.
Awesome. So he
of
gets our
Patreon.
Bacon Bits.
So he gets those
Nearly weekly.
Nearly weekly Bacon Bits, where this last time I was surprised with drugs. So
Drugs.
So yeah, that's always those random Bacon Bits. They happen almost every week, and we enjoy just sitting around and chatting together. But then people actually enjoy listening to it too, which is weird. But David, you now have access to it. But thank you for supporting us, and thank you for supporting Bacon. So we really do appreciate it. But that's not what we're talking about today. What are we talking about today, Zack?
We are talking about the action movie of action movies. Whoa! Yeah! Hey, that means that we're done. That's the bracket.
That was it. Yeah.
That's it. That's the winner.
No, we
A couple weeks ago.
Yes.
Well, we always do brackets, right?
Yes.
But a couple weeks ago, we wanted your help.
For the record, it's because we know nothing about sports. And sports brackets happen around this time of year.
It's
And-
madness.
Yes. So,
And often we try to venture into music, and we've done music. We did the Song of Songs. Like, we went big.
Yeah.
which means where do you go from there?
And the worst song of
movies.
songs, didn't we?
We did the
Yeah,
worst.
we did
Yeah.
worst as well.
Yeah.
But we're starting it off.
Sorry, Fergie.
With, we talked about Oscars where no one really knows what's happening, but we're going to go with movies that everyone should know
Some
what
of the
movies we're talking
biggest
about.
blockbusters.
Yes.
Ever.
And
Yeah.
then we gave you the reins, which means you decided what shows up on our bracket, and it's your fault whatever goes forward.
Yes, so a lot of times people say, why didn't you put this on the bracket? And now we can just say, because you didn't submit it.
Yeah.
Now there were submissions that were put forward that didn't make it to the bracket.
True.
And we were actually eliminating some of those choices and decided to record the end part of our conversation where we finalize the bracket. You can
Yes.
find that on patreon.com/Baconsale.
Nice plug.
We did a little video call about, and you can hear us talk about these movies without any connection to who submitted them.
So what we're doing is we pulled your choices, and we got it down to 32. We're not going to do 64. It's going to be one episode.
One short episode.
Not at all.
Nope.
This is 2 hours guaranteed.
Oof.
no.
Please, no.
But let's keep it lower than that. But yes, we are going to whittle this down. It's a standard bracket form, which you can actually find a printable bracket and play along at home by printing it off at baconsale.com. So go there and find the bracket,
Nope.
give it to your friends, and try and decide yourselves who is the greatest action movie, even though we're already going to decide it here and give a definitive answer.
Kind of. I hope so. I hope it works out.
We're always never right.
But what is this bracket? Because is it the action adventure movie of action adventure movies? Is that the title?
I love how it's like action of action or action adventure of action adventure.
It's out there.
Because we're including adventure, right? We could just go like these big budget movies, but we're pulling movies from the past 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
And adventure...
Apparently, there was not an action movie made after the 1980s.
Apparently not.
According to this bracket.
No, and that's the thing is the action movie. It's kind of interesting because we were having this conversation just before we started recording about what is an action movie, what is an adventure movie.
Sure.
Because back in the days, children gathered around.
I love Old Man Joel.
Well, back in my day, there was video stores where you would walk in.
Is that like Netflix?
Kind of, but it was Netflix in person.
So
And you
Hulu?
That what?
Don't confuse Old Man Joel.
I'm confused. But you would walk in and there would be sections of video where it's like, oh, there's the horror section. Oh, there's the family section. Here is the action adventure section.
Yes.
And the reason they group those together is because adventure technically probably came first.
Think Errol Flynn.
Yes,
Yeah.
Errol Flynn.
Robin Hood.
Some
Swashbucklers.
historians consider The Great Train Robbery, 1903, to be the first action film. But then, as you mentioned,
what's the one we watched with
General.
Buster Keaton? The General.
That's an action
That's
movie.
an action movie.
But then I was going to say that during the 19s,
Silent
20s, and
movies.
30s, we got the swashbuckling adventure films with swords and arrows and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
In the 40s and 50s, we saw more war and westerns. Those became kind of the action ones. I want to give a shout out here. It didn't make our final list, and I'm sorry, but Seven Samurai back in
think we dropped the ball.
1954. That is
It's on every list.
That was like kind of the first assembling
And
the
no
tin-
one has seen it.
Oh, it's so good. It is really good.
It is really good.
But that's the first kind of like assembling the team to go fight someone together.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say first, but one of the first. But it did popularize that kind of trope in action movies now of let's get the team together and go fight the bad guys. But the action genre began to really develop. Like we had adventure a lot of that time through. That's mostly adventure stuff. You think swords and arrows kind of adventure.
Right.
And whips. But then you get the action film coming in the 1970s when they started doing stunts and special effects and more weapons. And that became kind of the action genre in the 70s.
More, get to the chopper.
Get to the chopper. I mean, 80s may have perfected the action genre.
It's what we all kind of think of, and it's what's going to appear on this list quite a bit.
But what I found in my research is that you'd be hard-pressed to find a standard, direct, singular action movie. Almost every movie is going to be like an action comedy or an action horror or an
Adventure,
action drama.
something, yeah.
Action adventure.
Yeah, for
So if there was a comedy action movie, it may be saved for a comedy bracket, but there are action comedies here, which are action first and foremost.
And I think it's the proportions.
And there's a mistake we made on this bracket as well.
You think so?
Just one.
We didn't
Just
make
one.
a mistake. The listener
Just a
made
few.
a mistake.
Yeah, the listener made the mistake.
We don't make mistakes on Baconsale. Have you heard our blooper reel at the end of each episode? But I wanted to ask you guys, first of all, your feelings on the action genre, if you're a fan, if you're not. And also, what do you consider to be an action? What makes an action movie as opposed to a horror or a comedy? Or
explosions.
you think explosions are required to make it an action movie?
Punching and explosions.
See, I think punching would be there, but I don't know about explosions. Not every movie we have on this list has explosions.
Gun show.
That would, which is good, but that would also get rid of all the martial arts movies and all the most of the adventure.
I think it's the, for me, an action movie is you've got these big set pieces.
Totally agree.
And we'll say the action, right? The punching, the kicking, the flying explosions, whatever. That's ultimately what's driving the story forward, right? It's not just necessarily happening because it is an element that is integral to the story, right? It's, think of the big chase or the shootout or whatever. Like that is the crux of the story.
I totally agree. I couldn't have said it better. I think you have 2 to 3 large action set pieces, and often it's a big climactic battle at the end. And there are action scenes in other kind of genre movies, but I think that it is the movies where that is what is promoted most heavily.
Is the action sequences.
Yes.
See, and I think it all boils down to 2 things. I looked at our list, gentlemen, and I tried to boil it down to the elements of what was in all these movies, and I found 2 things. And you danced around it.
Yeah.
Fighting,
Chases.
Yeah.
fighting and chases.
Totally.
But the funny thing is, you look at a horror genre, you're going to have fighting, you're going to have chases as well.
Yeah.
And so I was like, what makes a difference? But really, this is what...
And
There's some suspense in these too.
You can definitely have as well. Some of these have maybe only a couple of iconic scenes. There's a movie that I really enjoy. It's not on this bracket. It's Bullet. It starred Steve McQueen.
Yeah.
This is a movie. It is
Bullet with an IT.
Yeah, but it is honestly. Again, I like this movie. It is a boring detective movie.
Yes.
But it has one of the best and most iconic car chases of all
Yes.
time. And so it is considered to be on like almost an action movie. I'm like, no, it's a boring cop movie.
Yeah.
And I've been watching some movies, and I'm like, man, this is a drama, and all of a sudden an action sequence will happen. I'm like, wait, it's action now. This is an action movie, and it will confuse me.
And I think it's the emotions that each genre wants you to feel. Dramatic, you should feel sad. Horror, you should feel scared. I think action, you should feel intense.
Excited.
You should be excited and amped up. Same thing with adventure. I feel like with adventure, it may not be as like, oh my gosh, are they going to survive? But it's like, this is really fun to watch.
I don't know, but you look at some adventure movies, and it is like, are they going to survive the jungle? Are they going to survive, being lost in this pyramid? It's all this kind of different things like that.
Sure.
There's definitely that element of
But the emotion should be there.
And that leads me to the other thing. I was going to say, it needs fighting, it needs chasing, but it also needs a hero and a villain. This is not the ambiguous Sundance movies. You're like, no.
Or every Disney movie for the past 10 years.
Your own nostrils have been the villain the whole time. Like that's indie films.
It's a good movie.
But you need kind of a definitive hero and a definitive villain. But they can flip that sometimes and have an anti-hero be the protagonist.
Sure.
But still, I think an action movie needs a hero, someone to root for.
Yeah.
Sure.
Against
Or
all
impossible odds.
Impossible odds.
If there's not a villain, impossible odds.
Yes.
With that said, we are going to use some of these thoughts as we go through and look at our movies and as we have them go against each other with these matchups. But be prepared, listener, as with every bracket episode, there will be absolute contradictions because we're not really going off of hard facts here. We're going off of a vibe.
Yeah, we let you pick the movies. Now we're going to just make all the decisions we want and make you angry.
How do we vote? Vibes.
Well, like you said, Joel, maybe it's going to come down to, wow, this movie has a better hero. Maybe Kent, like what you said, maybe this movie has better
scenes,
better action set pieces.
Yes.
Maybe it's more exciting. Maybe it was more iconic. Maybe it was revolutionary for its time. We don't know.
Yeah.
It's going to be a crazy bracket.
Let's get right into it.
Okay.
We're going to break some hearts here, the three of us included.
There will be absolute darlings who will go out in the first round. For our first matchup, we have Jurassic Park.
A pragmatic paleontologist touring an almost complete theme park on an island in Central America is tasked with protecting a couple of kids after a power failure causes the park's cloned dinosaurs to run loose.
That was on the poster, I think. That's what got everyone to go see that
really
movie.
long synopsis, IMDb.
Versus Enter the Dragon.
A Shaolin martial artist travels to an island fortress. I think it's the same plot as Jurassic Park. To spy an opium lord who is also a former monk from the temple.
No,
the guise of attending a fighting tournament.
It's the same plot as Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. Well, Mortal Kombat stole from
Yes,
Enter the
and
Dragon.
I totally acknowledge that, but truth be told, I saw Mortal Kombat many, many times before I ever saw Enter the Dragon.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yes, and so
This
for me,
is
I
a
was like,
Bruce Lee film, yes?
Yes,
It is the Bruce Lee.
The Bruce Lee
Enter
film.
the Dragon is. Jurassic Park is not a Bruce Lee film.
You know, that would have made Jurassic Park better.
Actually, punch a T-Rex in the face.
Oh,
1 inch
man.
punches of T-Rexes.
Yes. I'll just come out and say it right now. I don't really like Enter the Dragon.
Why not?
So,
Because legacy-wise, it is seen as more of an action movie than Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park is more of an adventure movie with some really incredible dynamics.
there's some
Arguable-
fights, there's chases.
Arguably a thriller.
Thriller's a whole different genre, but we'll get to that later on. But I watched Enter the Dragon wanting to like it. I've heard a lot about Bruce Lee, and I wanted to kind of see his iconic film of Enter the Dragon.
I think the hardest part is, well, the comparison here, this is apples and oranges, right? This
It's
is
very
This is a
different.
very old movie with low production quality.
My kids would call Jurassic Park a very old movie.
Oh, that angers me.
The thing about Enter the Dragon, I can appreciate the influence it had
Right.
on martial arts movies becoming more center stage, and also just they called it the quote kung fu craze back then, where everyone just started making those films.
Yeah.
And yes, he had talent. I do wonder, however, if his untimely and tragic death is what made this movie so memorable and his career elevated. That tragic death of someone cut down in their prime. But as I watched Enter the Dragon, I was unimpressed by the story. I was laughing at the dubbing because these movies were filmed.
But did you
with
not
no
like
sound.
The Last Fight? To me, it's a Bond movie with Bruce Lee.
I found the fights to be lackluster. I was expecting so much more. I was expecting, and it sounds weird because Jackie Chan has looked so much up to Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
I was expecting a Jackie Chan type fight. But no, it was just very competent
but
martial arts.
The iconography of Bruce Lee in this movie, like every pose he does is cool.
I had to laugh at some of the poses and some of the facial expressions and some
What?
of the noises.
So, but you're saying time has not been kind to this movie.
I'm saying I wonder if I would have liked it when I was a kid.
Okay, how about this then? This is a movie that probably has been polished and done better throughout time in Enter the Dragon. There's never been a better dinosaur movie than Jurassic Park.
They've tried in its own series.
They've tried several times and never
Dinosaurs, the TV series?
not the Mama? Is that one?
Guys, okay, we have a lot of matches
Because
to
we're
get
giving
through.
Death Rattle facts real quick. Obviously,
Yeah.
Enter the Dragon's not going forward, but Empire Magazine gave it its number 58 on Best Action Movies, and Rolling Stone gave it number 5. Jurassic Park was not listed on any list as a Best Action Movie because it may not really quite
It's an
fit.
adventure movie. We're not doing just action. This is action
I looked at
adventure
Adventure as well.
Yeah, this is...
It's just known as
genre-wise.
One of the greatest movies
It's
of all
known
time.
as a movie we saw 7 times in the theater.
So good.
Yeah, it is so good.
There's a reason for that. Jurassic Park moves on. Next, we have Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves,
Robin Hood decides to fight back as an outlaw when faced with the tyranny of the Sheriff of Nottingham.
and Mad Max, Fury Road.
In a post-apocalyptic wasteland, a woman rebels against a tyrannical ruler in search for her homeland with the aid of a group of female prisoners, a psychotic worshiper, and a drifter named Max.
Some guy Max is there too.
Yeah.
Robin Hood versus Mad Max.
This is a crazy matchup.
Robin Hood
would
being
never put these movies
adventure.
next to each other.
It's post-apocalyptic versus adventure. This is a fun little
Yeah.
matchup here.
Yeah.
Of, once again, apples and oranges.
Mad Max is an interesting matchup here because really it's so light on story.
Yes.
It's like there's water involved. They drive, they turn left, and then they turn around.
Would you say it's a straightforward action movie
I would
with
say
a little
it
else?
is a straightforward action movie, arguably the most actiony action movie here because it is so light on story.
Yeah.
Because it's just the bare bones of what you need. Whereas
Fury
Robin
Road
Hood
is?
yeah,
Yes.
Because I feel like it's mostly... there's something about the car subgenre of action movies that feels less actiony to me than...
But have you seen Fury Road?
Oh, it's so good.
yeah,
Yeah.
But I'm just thinking that from a pure action level. You said the biggest action movie on here?
I'd say it's the most actiony compared to
Straightforward.
story, right? The highlight is obviously the action. It's an action movie, but really that's what you're there to see, and that's all. That's there more than story. Compare that to Robin Hood, which is like steeped in lore, and it's
Lore
a very known
and
story.
romance
and
accents.
and
bad
yeah.
accents.
and a scene chewing villain. And man, the
So
villain
good.
really does.
Alan
make this-
Rickman plays the Sheriff of Nottingham in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. And it's funny because he thought,
He's much better than Kevin Costner.
he thought
as
the
Robin
script
Hood.
was terrible. And so he had some buddies of his, some comedic buddies, punch up the dialogue
Yeah.
to make it funnier because he says, I just need really good lines
like
in here.
he got carte blanche to do whatever he wanted, and the movie was improved for it.
Okay. I say this as a child of the 80s and 90s who loved Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
watch all the time, right?
One of the first VHS tapes I ever bought
Yeah.
was Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves on my own. And I absolutely think the movie was... I used to watch it all the time. We
too.
show it to kids.
best Robin Hood movie ever.
Yes.
I think so.
Because I watched it again recently, and Kevin Costner and Christian Slater are the weakest links. Everyone else in that movie is
I
doing
like
great.
Christian Slater in the movie. Will
Please.
Scarlett.
Please.
So I actually came up with the best scenes from every movie on this list, and
Nice.
I really like the scene where Robin saves Will Scarlet from the chopping block, and that's the flaming arrow scene. That is the
That's a
iconic
great- that's a
moment.
great part.
And there's also the arrow POV splitting the other arrow.
Yep.
It's very cool.
Yep.
And then there's Fury Road, which the scenes I listed are endless.
The scenes you're listed are the movie.
Yes.
Yes.
Because there are
The
so many
non-Immortan Joe talking parts of the movie.
mediocre. This is once again two movies you can't really compare.
Are you taking accessibility into factor here, though? Because I feel like one of the things action movies has going for it is it appeals to such a wide audience.
Right.
As much as I like Mad Max Fury Road, I know some people hated it. To quote Kent, hated it. But then
Really?
Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, everyone loved it back in the day.
Back in the day. I
Back
don't
in
think
the
it
day.
stood the test of time. I don't think anybody wants to watch that movie now that didn't watch it back in the day.
I still like it.
Yeah, no, it's I like
But
it.
I did watch it back in the day.
Yeah.
But I think that people aren't watching it anymore
No.
in a general sense. Now you could maybe make the argument that not as many people are watching Fury Road, but it's kind of like this.
I'm sorry. I think it changed action movies in the past decade in a very particular way.
And what's bizarre, though, you talk about accessibility. This is the fourth movie in a franchise, a really bizarre kind of out there, almost cult following franchise. You didn't even need to know what was going on with those movies. because they found a way to actually introduce a new protagonist, kind of switcheroo.
I really wish they could have put Mel Gibson in that movie.
Me too.
As kind of the aging hero that would make sense to be on passing the
they
torch
meant to film it in the
Furiosa.
early 2000s and would have had him do it.
They did. He
Yes.
was writing a script even back in 87, just after 87? Yeah, just after Beyond Thunderdome. He started working on this idea, but then...
I'm glad they waited because then 90% of the effects, the stunts, were real.
Yeah, the big draw here is absolutely it's as practical as it can be, and you can feel that the cars, the explosions.
You're in the sandstorms.
The CG only adds; it does not detract, and it's not an over-reliant thing. It's a great movie.
So what are you guys voting for?
It's going forward.
I'm going Mad Max.
Yes.
You're both going Mad Max?
Yeah.
You're giving it to.
I'll give it to Robin Hood.
I knew it.
Only because
That's good. It's okay.
It was the second highest grossing film of 1991. It is, I think, one of the most iconic adventure movies we have on here. I'm sorry, Robin Hood. I would have voted for you, and I did.
Fury Road moves on.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Next, we have Pirates of the Caribbean: The Curse of the Black Pearl.
Blacksmith Will Turner teams up with eccentric pirate Captain Jack Sparrow to save his love, the governor's daughter, from Jack's former pirate allies who are now undead.
The voice got harder. And Red.
When his peaceful life is threatened by a high-tech assassin, former Black Ops agent Frank Moses reassembles his old team in a last-ditch effort to survive and uncover his assailants.
Now, Robin Hood. Pirates of the Caribbean. This is the first one with Johnny Depp and Orlando Bloom and Keira Knightley. You know, the good old
Rush.
Jeff Rush. And then Red is the one with Bruce Willis, Morgan Freeman, John Malkovich, Helen Mirren, Carl Urban, Mary Louise Parker. Like these are
I actually really like this matchup because I think these are two just really fun, enjoyable popcorn action movies.
You wouldn't call Pirates of the Caribbean adventure?
Yeah, maybe.
It's a
swords and
swashbuckler
scabbards.
adventure for
It's a
me.
swashbuckler adventure. I think they're both really fun. Like they're not going to challenge your brain at all. But there are some just good classic movie to be had.
I just rewatched Red in preparation for this episode. I forgot how funny it is.
It is funny.
I
John
was-
Malkovich is great.
He is. There's just a couple parts where I laughed out loud and I was like, that's right. This is a funny movie.
But then you also forget about the movie as soon as it's over.
True.
It has some cool scenes. The collision of the bullet and the rocket that John Malkovich shoots.
Yep.
You're like, oh, that's very cool. The movie is big. It's loud. It's funny.
It is, if you might mind me saying, Red is the more action movie of the two.
Yes.
Red is actually inspired by a comic series of the same name. Red, by the way, stands for Retired Extremely Dangerous. Yeah. And they did announce a sequel.
No, there is it's Red 2.
Excuse me, a third film.
It came out, Joel.
I meant a third. That was 2013.
It's not very good.
That was 2013.
Yeah.
But then they were talked about doing a third one.
Okay.
And
Rothried.
It would be.
R in 3D.
I think Red should lose for the scene when Bruce Willis walks out of the police car on its own.
Oh, and it flies around though. It barely misses him.
Dumb.
I like that part.
No. CG Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
This belongs on a dad bracket. Red is a cool
dad
movie,
movie,
but it's a movie that every dad bought at Walmart for $5 to $7.
Yeah, it was in the discount bin.
Right. I do think there are more slow parts to Pirates, but the dialogue building up to a villain and a great hero, it just really works on pretty much every level, especially score.
The score is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
The production design is outstanding. And I will say this probably a lot in this bracket, but to me, this movie has one of the more iconic visuals in movies, especially summer movies. Is that you best start believing in ghost stories, Miss Turner. You're in one. And
So
he walks
good.
into
Such
the
a great
moon.
moment.
It is so good.
If you haven't already, well, your kids might be a little young, but watch this with your kids.
Yeah.
It's such a fun movie to watch with them because this is like one of those. I call it the kind of the bridge to horror movies where it's not a horror movie, but there are some scary parts
There
in
are.
it. There's obviously undead and ghosts and monsters, but it's a good gateway for people who don't like horror.
All due respect to Red, but I think it's a clean sweep.
Yes. I think we're all voting Pirates of the
I
Caribbean.
do like Red, though. If you haven't seen it, watch this movie.
You should.
It's
It's fun.
It's really fun. But Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl moves on.
It's not possible. Not probable.
All right, we got to get moving through these. We have Die Hard.
A New York City police officer tries to save his estranged wife and several others taken hostage by terrorists during a Christmas party at the Nakatomi Plaza in Los Angeles.
Versus Transformers.
It's funny because when I wrote that down, I omitted the Christmas
You did?
party. Yes. You emphasized it. An ancient struggle between two Cybertronian races, the heroic Autobots and the evil Decepticons, comes to Earth with the clue of ultimate power held by a teenager. The Cube.
Okay, wow. Listen.
This is a weird matchup.
Listen.
I like Transformers.
Transformers?
I hate it.
You hate the first
You
one?
hate the first
I hate
one?
all of when I watched
Come
it,
on.
Joel.
That no, you know me.
We hate
When
all
they take
reboots.
when they take things from my childhood and then change them completely, I get a little bit defensive.
Okay.
Sure, but Michael Bay was like, hey, I bet you guys are going to hate this movie. Actually, no, it's pretty serviceable. It's got some bad
Big,
jokes
big
in there.
dumb
No, Transformers less than meets the eye.
Oh,
I would say whelms the eye.
Whelms the eye. That's what we're
it was
going
an
for.
awesome summer movie.
Transformers
They actually were.
kind of whelms the eye.
They were actually considering making a G.I. Joe film, but then once the
Joel, they did. It actually came out.
came out.
There's two of them.
No, but I
And a
mean,
sequel.
Joel,
the guy
are you
that,
all right?
The guy that
You said a birthday, I know.
I'm getting old. No, the guy that made this movie was going to make a G.I. Joe
Okay.
movie, but then
Okay.
the Iraq War was happening. He thought, it's probably not a timely thing right
that
now.
makes sense.
We'll make Transformers.
No, listen, if this was Michael Bay's one Transformer movie, everyone would be like, he did a great job
No.
with that.
Why didn't they make more of those?
But it just got so tarnished over time, especially number 2 was this sheer drop off to the point where people are like, I never want to see anything
I
Transformers
hated
again.
that movie so
but Shia LaBeouf in this movie, it has great comic relief.
Whoa,
It has-
whoa, whoa,
hold on,
whoa,
hold on.
whoa,
I'm not
whoa.
saying John Turturro.
Don't say
Take it
great
easy.
comic relief in relation to anything
No,
Transformers.
with Shia LaBeouf and
you
Bumblebee,
could say it has comic relief.
they are really
Not
good
great.
together.
Shia LaBeouf is kind of cute in
Joel,
this one.
Megan Fox. Okay?
That's not an action argument.
That was a bullet point.
Transformers loses on the sheer fact that Megan Fox says that there's carburetors on a fuel-injected motor. I hate that part.
Wait, there's not?
There's not. It's a fun
I like
movie.
that Zach's coming in with Carfax.
It's a fun movie.
That's why I love
it's
it.
not
Okay.
Die Hard, though.
Does Die Hard end with Linkin Park?
It probably would if it was made in 2007.
I love that ending so much.
The ending is so cool.
That noise of
Is that a seagull?
You're doing the music.
Joel.
R.I.P. headphone users. I'm so sorry.
But Transformers loses to Die Hard.
Oh, thank goodness.
Clean sweep. Die Hard moves on.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Now we have Independence Day.
The aliens are coming, and their goal is to invade and destroy Earth. Fighting superior technology, mankind's best weapon is the will to survive, and America.
America. Versus John Wick.
An ex-hitman comes out of retirement to track down the gangsters that killed his dog and took his car, stole my truck.
These are two, I think, almost genre of the time defining movies.
Yes, I mean Independence Day. You get Will Smith, Bill Pullman, Jeff Goldblum, Mary McDonnell, a whole ensemble there. John Wick stars Keanu Reeves and a bunch of other names
And
you
no
probably
one
don't
else
care
that
about.
matters.
I would
Oh,
say
and a 1969 Mustang.
I would say highlights of their decades at that point because
Yes.
90s action was really watered down.
These are representative of their time, but also like pushed things forward.
Right, but
in
then
their
early
time.
teen section also really watered down. And so both these movies came out like Will Smith height, I guess the initial part of his career, but it became the height of his career.
This is what made him into like the action heroes type.
And then Keanu Reeves comes out of nowhere to be everyone's favorite individual on the planet again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
It's so crazy.
And John Wick was a wonderful response to Liam Neeson in Taken. Right,
Yeah.
like that's we talk about the watered down action. Like Taken's a fine enough movie, but it was you could tell it was there was a falseness to it.
Right.
that John Wick said no, we can do that and make it look very real.
No, John
and
Wick
very
is the
cool.
movie where I went, Keanu Reeves could kill me
Yeah.
if he wanted to.
Joel, he already killed you. You don't know. He actually had already
He's that
happened.
good?
He's
Yeah,
that good. Double
he's done.
tap that fast. And that's the thing that shocked me about John Wick. And I'll probably talk about this further in this show because I do want the movie to go forward. And I do love Independence Day. And the action scenes in that were so cool for the 90s.
It's iconic.
The aliens
The
attacking the
imagery.
White House. The imagery is cool. But it's a thrill for one time. It's a fun background action movie. But I'm like, yeah, I saw aliens attack the building and the White House. Every time I see John Wick, it shouldn't be this good. And it just is. The choreography is there. Keanu Reeves is doing 90% of his stunts.
Yeah.
And it's so quick. The movie clips along, pardon the term, so fast and should not be as good as bad as the plot is.
But did you get to see the Empire State Building blow up? Did you get to see the White
If
House?
it was Keanu Reeves versus
blow
the
up?
Empire State Building. But no, I think...
Does it transform?
Yeah. But I think there are some amazing moments in both movies. But I think for the powerhouse that is John Wick and the legacy he's created for action movies at this point, it's indisputable.
I think Independence Day has, again, some of these insanely iconic film moments. Like you just see them in your mind when you think about it. However, I remember when I saw it as a kid, I was like, wow, this movie's kind of boring for a while in the beginning and then after the initial attack. Like it's kind of dull for good stretches of this movie.
Joel, bring up the speech. You got to bring up the speech at this point.
Today, we celebrate our Independence Day.
Oh, it's a great part.
That was almost the dad.
I don't
from
like
Rudy.
the climactic battle in either movie, actually.
Okay.
It's probably the most boring part of Independence Day for me, is when they use the Mac to spread the virus.
When they happen to have a virus that's compatible with alien technology.
Whereas I think John Wick it's good at the end because you're like, oh, is he going to die or whatever? But it's actually everything before that may supersede it.
This is hard, though, because this is essentially huge destruction and explosions versus intricate gunplay, which are two pretty solid pillars in the action genre.
so true.
Explosions versus gunplay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do you think that John Wick, the original, is bolstered up by its sequels or
Lessened.
I
think each sequel
'Cause
has
they've
made
become
John
big
Wick
dumb
a
action
little
movies.
lessened.
Oh, I think
I don't want to talk about
bolstered.
bad sequels,
Really?
though, because Independence Day sequel definitely drags it
Terrible.
down. But we're not talking about that.
Yeah, I mean, if the movie's standing on their own, they're both great.
So it's tough to know. But it's obviously been several years since John Wick come out, but there's more time from Independence Day. Lasting legacy. I mean, they both changed movies for different reasons.
Yes. Well, see, here's the thing. I think Independence Day definitely did kind of boost up the Hollywood blockbuster at that time. It was having a little bit of a slump around that era, and I think that kind of said, no, we can do this.
But in a
Roland
good way,
Emmerich did
because
it.
Roland Emmerich, as a genre, kind of ruined the movie industry and action movies for 2 decades.
What?
Yeah, disaster
Godzilla?
movies.
But no, and then you get John Wick, which, I mean, first of all, revitalized Keanu Reeves' career, but also all the movies, action movies around that time were doing these little quick cut fight scenes where it was just
Like Taken,
like
right?
Taken,
Which
where-
is not on the list,
where
by the
it's
way.
Obviously, they can't fight like
Right.
in extended scenes. They don't know the choreography, so they'll just do quick cuts.
Yeah.
Whereas John Wick was directed by stuntmen.
A lot of the Marvel movies.
Yes, they do that now.
Yeah.
But now they'll have these long, drawn out, choreographed scenes where he's punching, kicking, shooting, and it is so amazing to watch. And be like, Keanu Reeves is really doing that.
How's this? Independence Day made CGI better. John Wick made action movies better. Action
Agreed.
movies
Made
stepped up
fighting
their game.
sequences better.
Fighting sequences in action movies.
It made us expect more.
Hand to hand, there is a higher expectation because, they did it in John Wick.
But in accessibility, I mean, Independence Day was one of those movies everyone was talking about and everyone loved. John Wick is one guys love a lot.
A John Wick for me is, I think, a Top Gun Maverick. I think everyone who sees it falls in love with a very simple story. Also, he did win our action hero bracket.
Joel, what do you think?
Kent voted for
John Wick.
John Wick. I'm voting for Independence Day. I think in the action genre, this needs to be represented as this worldwide destruction of buildings and
Oh, that's coming up a lot.
civilizations. Yeah, but it feels like to me that this was an action movie of its time, and John Wick
But
is
one-man army.
it's so good. But between the two of them, I mean, honestly, just looking at the box office numbers here, Independence Day was the bigger hit, even though it came out decades before, and even without adjusting for inflation. Independence Day is the bigger,
The Roland Emmerich movie,
accessible
the summer blockbuster.
boom.
Or the little movie that could, which was John Wick.
But it has now become a big blockbuster for sure. I'm going to give the nod narrowly to John Wick. I think it again
That's a
made
tough one.
hand-to-hand combat moving forward better. Independence Day is an icon.
You can't make these bad decisions at the beginning of it. People turn off the episode.
Joel, they're all going to die.
Hour in.
Joel, they're all going to die.
Every single one. John Wick moves on.
We call him Baba Yaga.
Next, we have Gone in 60 Seconds.
A retired master car thief must come back to the industry to steal 50 cars with his crew in one night to save his brother's life.
So wired.
A little tired.
Versus Gladiator.
Ancient
Ancient Lamentation?
Oh man, I love Now We Are Free, Billy Stewart. A former Roman general sets out to exact vengeance against the corrupt emperor who murdered his family and sent him into slavery. Are you not entertained?
Okay, so
Should this movie be here?
this
Gladiator
is the most
or Gone in
actiony
60 Seconds?
of war movies. Okay?
It's a drama to me. This is a drama.
And
Like, through
Gone
and through.
Gone in 60 Seconds is a terrible film.
Stop it. I love it.
Not a fan.
So you're saying neither movie belongs here?
No.
Okay, there is the chase with Eleanor at the end of Gone in 60
There's
Seconds.
so Gone in 60
Which-
Seconds, a movie I like. It's slick. There's a little bit of fighting here and there. They try to set up a plot.
the Mountain Dew filter they filmed that movie through.
Oh, yeah.
Super cool.
I watched this movie
But I do love the
a couple
scene where
weeks ago.
they're, the chase at the end. He's driving on the docks. There's wrecking balls coming through, the pressurized gas tanks, hitting cop cars and everything. It's fun to watch. It's a 2000 movie.
I'm sorry.
No, you're right. But also, people may say that about a 2.5-hour war epic,
I
right?
don't like Gladiator that much either.
I know you don't. But, Gladiator does have a battle scene at the beginning with a great score, once again, which always helps the movie.
Zimmer's so good.
And it has an amazing villain with Joaquin Phoenix as Commodus.
That was like his big breakout as an adult role.
Deservedly so.
So good.
And so it has the perfect hero villain. And I would say because of the Colosseum, because of the fights, it is an action movie, just barely.
Because that is a question of like the amount of drama to the amount of action. And I do think there's enough action in Gladiator to pull it into that realm.
I am a little sad because Gone in 60 Seconds, we don't really have a lot of heist movies represented. And it is more of a team heist
a lot
movie.
of heist movies.
I know. Hey, it's the audience fault.
But is it an action movie? Like, is Ocean's 11 an action movie? It's hard to tell.
It's tricky. Heist movies
because there's not really fighting.
Right.
There is some chasing.
Yeah. No, Gone in 60 Seconds is a slick, fun movie. But it's not anybody's pick for, that was amazing cinema. But it's a good time, and there's nothing
It's a
wrong
good time.
with that.
Fun fact,
You're right.
It is estimated that Gone in 60 Seconds lost the studio about $90 million.
Wow.
Although due to Hollywood accounting, Disney wrote it down as $212 million loss.
Okay.
Call her 60, 70, call it 80. Okay,
Right.
take 80 from 200, and we got a deal.
Let's not belabor this anymore. Gone in 60 Seconds does not.
We'll see you on a Hollywood car show.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Eleanor, I love you. And Gladiator moves on.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Now we have Indiana Jones in The Last Crusade.
In 1938, after his father goes missing, I like how they had to include the date on that.
know.
Well, while his father goes missing while pursuing the Holy Grail, Indiana Jones finds himself up against the Nazis again to stop them from obtaining its powers.
Versus Tenet.
Time Real Beyond Something in Unfold Will That Mission A On Espionage International of World Twilight A Through Journeys Protagonist.
I was going to complain that I couldn't hear what Kent was saying, but then I realized, Tenet.
Yeah. So look, I appreciate the nod to Tenet, but we can.
It's a fun movie.
It's a fun movie,
It's
and I will say,
Creative action.
it's a movie that like, does anyone remember? Because did anyone see? Right? Because there's
It came
so
out
much
at a tough time.
There's a complicated plot that complicates. Honestly, that I would actually say hidden action scenes, which are novel, but it's hard to pay attention when the plot is happening, and it's so overly complicated. Mm-hmm. I say this as a former Nolan lover.
Former?
That's what you guys always say.
Yeah.
I do think that this is Christopher Nolan's best action movie. Or his best action sequences, I'll say.
Yes.
With the backwards and forwards fighting.
Yes, it's very creative.
Crashing
like you said,
a
novel.
plane.
Such great action. Like he, especially in the early parts of his career, wasn't so great at doing action.
Right.
Like the action sequences were rough. Honestly, in the Batman movies, like the action's not why you watch those.
But I think he gets so overwhelmed by, for example, there's the climactic battle is called the Temporal Pincer. And it's actually really intense, but there's so much plot happening during the battle that you need to pay so much attention, you get lost in the shuffle.
I need to watch this one again, honestly.
the plot gets in the way. Watch it again with subtitles.
I do.
But the backwards hallway fight.
Yeah.
So
I
cool.
do.
Incredible.
I do feel bad for this movie, though, because like you said, it came out in a difficult time. And it was there weren't that many movies that came out in 2020.
Right.
This was the 5th highest grossing movie of that year. After Demon Slayer,
Oh.
The 800.
An anime. Yeah.
My People, My Homeland, and Bad Boys for Life.
Okay, so only
What?
one of those was,
All
was
beat.
prominent domestically.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll beat that. So, yeah.
It
did win Best Visual
But the
Effects
truck
Academy,
heist,
so.
driving backwards on the freeway
the
chase.
backwards driving is amazing.
So what we're saying is that Indiana Jones Last Crusade is
Which we haven't
There's
talked about it all.
plenty more to say about it when it moves on to the next round.
We named the dog Indiana.
Now we have Hot Fuzz.
A skilled London police officer, after irritating superiors with this embarrassing and this is a long thing. Basically, he goes to a small town to investigate a string of grisly murders.
Versus Inception.
A thief who steals corporate secrets through the use of dream sharing technology is given the inverse task of planting an idea in the mind of a CEO.
Both of these movies are hilarious.
Wow, it's like two of my favorite directors right here.
Hot Fuzz, directed by Edgar Wright and starring Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, as you know from Shaun of the Dead.
Yes.
And then Inception with Leonardo DiCaprio and Ken Watanabe and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. There's a lot of people in
Listen,
there.
a mistake was made.
Why? Hot Fuzz shouldn't be here?
Hot Fuzz shouldn't be here. It's a love.
Comedy.
No, it lampoons action movies that should have been on this list, like Point Break and Bad Boys 2.
But I think the
two
reason-
movies that belonged on this list.
But Kent, I think the reason it is funny is because of the action. They're
You're-
not making a lot of jokes. They're doing this straightforward
You're
action
right.
movie, but it's funny because you're like, I
And
get
it's-
that
and
from
it's
another
cool.
movie.
Even the parts where they like drop kicking the grandma, the town square shootout, a brawl in a grocery store. There are cool scenes, but I think of this movie as a straight up
in service
laugh my
of-
face off movie.
That
That makes sense. That's why.
That could be.
It's the only reason.
Oh, and the gore.
I have a hard time watching Hot Fuzz because of it hurts so
Oh
bad.
man, so good.
But the other movie has a really cool spinning hallway scene. We'll talk about it more later.
Because we're all moving Inception forward.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even though that Hot Fuzz has much more gunplay and much more action than
It has
Inception.
like British gunplay though.
What's the conversion rate for British gunplay?
There's a bomb in it too.
That's true.
Well, Edgar Wright wanted to make Hot Fuzz because he said there isn't really good cop films in the UK. It's not our tradition.
Yeah.
And so he wanted to make
We got loads of those here.
Yeah, and the
Because
title,
cops have paddy wagons.
Our cups became robots.
they said the title was a joke because they just saw the two-word action movies of the 80s like Point Break, Executive Decision.
Yeah.
And so they decided to just kind of basically draw a couple names out of a hat and be like, Hot Fuzz.
Love it.
Love it.
I love the movie, but it's not going forward.
Ooh.
Inception moves on. Now we have The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers.
While Frodo and Sam edge closer to Mordor with the help of the shifty Gollum, the divided fellowship makes a stand against Sauron's new ally, Saruman, and his hordes of Isengard. This is the one where
They're taking the hobbits to Isengard.
What did you say?
Versus Serenity.
The crew of the ship Serenity tried to evade an assassin sent to recapture Telepath River.
Sorry, your
Joel.
TV show got canceled.
Joel, did you include Serenity?
I didn't submit it.
I know.
In fact, we should clarify right now. We did remove all names from the submissions. We cannot play favorites.
I tried to kick this
Although I
kicked
love
off the
whoever
bracket.
submitted Serenity.
Yeah, I know you do.
No,
I tried.
if you honestly watch Serenity, which I did as the first exposure
Came out
to this,
2006, I believe.
2005.
Okay.
Like 4 years after this show was canceled, I think it was. But I watched Serenity first. I watched it with no real context of the show, and it was a solid sci-fi action movie.
I agree.
That I thoroughly enjoyed, and I want to know more. And then I watched Firefly.
Space cowboys and whatnot.
Oh yeah, Space
Yeah.
Western. It's wonderful. It is the capstone to Firefly. You have the TV series, which gets canceled kind of in the middle of. You don't even get a finale really, and then it's like, well, what happened? And this is that beautiful thing that I think every TV show,
I totally agree.
every mystery box TV show should get a built-in budget in their contract that says if we get canceled, we get to make one semi-low budget movie to wrap up all the loose ends.
Yeah.
Because this is the reason why
in a
that
lot of
show
ways
is
it
great.
capitalized on the sadness and the humor and the action that the TV show couldn't do.
Yeah.
It did a lot of things with characters. I was like, oh, that's sad. But also, for example, River is the center of the action in this movie, the character River. And there's a great fight with the Reapers, which is super cool. There's a space chase in this one, which may or may not hold up now.
No, one of my favorite moments in all sci-fi is in this movie.
Is it? Okay.
I absolutely
Leaf on the
love it.
Wind?
Just before Leaf on the Wind.
Yes, understood.
Yeah, but I love that moment.
Yes.
I think there are some spectacular action sequences. And fun fact, on both of these choices, both The Two Towers and Serenity, it's hard to stand on their own. There is a whole other thing surrounding them, and we are judging them just as themselves. It's
a good point.
And if you jump into Two Towers, you're going to be a little confused.
I think you would
And it
still have a
ends-
good time.
And
Two
it ends
Towers
in the middle of nowhere.
recaps some things that have happened in the first movie.
They
though.
do, but where does it end? You know, it doesn't have an ending.
With an
It
amazing
ends
battle.
with an epic battle.
With an epic battle, but then it's kind of
that
like
they win.
but they don't get the ring back to Mordor.
That's
There's-
the
there's-
worst. That's the worst part of the Lord of the Rings.
There's closure and some other
the
storylines.
closure is Samwise the Brave. So what's our vote? Joel, what's your vote?
no, well, hold on.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Kent, what's your vote?
Okay, it's Two Towers.
Mine's Two Towers as well. Joel, you have to do it. You have to vote for Serenity.
Well, that's the problem. That's actually, you guys are kind of reading my mind, because what I was going to say is Lord of the Rings as a whole would move so far in this bracket.
Sure.
One by itself,
It's trickier.
It needs everything else. It can't just be on its own. Although probably the best battle sequences are in Two
Yeah.
Towers.
Of the three, it's the action movie.
It is probably the most actiony of all. But I'll give a lovingly pity vote to Serenity.
Good. It needs it.
Even though I knew it wasn't going to move on. As soon as I saw it here, I kind of went, I love whoever submitted that, and it's gone now.
The Two Towers move on.
They're taking the hobbits to Isengard!
Next we have Edge of Tomorrow.
A soldier fighting aliens gets to relive the same day over and over again, the day restarting every time he dies.
Lived, I repeat. Versus The Matrix.
When a beautiful stranger leads computer hack. No, what? I don't know. IMDb's a
Follow
weird
the
place.
White Rabbit.
Keanu Reeves?
Yeah, you can just say when a computer hacker. I'll just read the thing as it is. When a beautiful stranger leads the computer hacker Neo to a forbidding underworld, he discovers the shocking truth. The life he knows is the elaborate deception of an evil cyber intelligence.
Stop it, synopses. Stop it.
No, to Edge of Tomorrow
The
has Tom
synopsis
Cruise.
might as well just be, this is The Matrix.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I
Tom
would-
Cruise, Emily Blunt in Edge of Tomorrow, The Matrix, Keanu Reeves, and Lawrence Fishburne.
Groundhog Day, but action.
For me,
The Matrix?
two happy surprises.
Yeah.
Edge of Tomorrow was such a pleasant surprise because you're like, I think this is the point, like post War of the Worlds, you're like, Sure, Tom Cruise, make another Mission Impossible movie. Oh, okay, you can do what you do. And then to see him be a humbled, kind of selfish character.
I love his
movie.
character in this one. It
so good.
almost plays against type,
Yes.
but not
Yeah,
quite.
almost.
It's the edge of where Tom Cruise likes to play the idiot.
But it's also kind of demeaning to say Matrix was a happy surprise because it changed movies. It changed action movies.
One of these movies is a happy, surprise, fun Tom Cruise movie, and the other is The Matrix.
One of these movies has very long, drawn-out conversation, explanation.
I would say
exposition
the
conversations.
exposition in The Matrix is some of the most captivating exposition
One
I've
of these
seen.
has nonstop boom, boom, pow, pow, blow 'em up, fight scenes,
Good scene.
war
You're right.
actions.
Emily Blunt's Dead Eyes.
But also, and I love Emily Blunt. I wish she was more of an action hero, even now.
She does well in
Mary
action
Poppins
sequences.
Returns had some serious good action sequences.
They fly up
And-
the clock tower.
And I love Edge of Tomorrow. I love that he grows, he evolves, and he knows, he predicts where the aliens will be. But name one action scene.
there was the one,
the entire movie.
the one where he dies.
over and over and over.
The one where he gets rolled over by the truck is the best part of the movie.
That's a great part.
Right?
The one where he and the groundhog drive off the cliff.
Yeah. I actually, Edge of Tomorrow was one of those movies that caught me completely by surprise.
Totally.
And I showed it to so many people because I'm like, you gotta see this. It's like Groundhog Day, but an action movie.
Yeah. And it's as funny as it is action packed.
Yeah.
Somehow.
They definitely did lighten the movie up a bit from the source material of all you need is kill.
It's kind of bizarre, right? Because there's comedy played through death.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Groundhog Day does the same thing.
But it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think we're all saying it's going to be the Matrix movie
Sure.
on.
It's gonna be the
All due
Matrix.
respect, though.
Mr. Anderson.
Next, we have Terminator 2, Judgment Day.
A cyborg identical to the one who failed to kill Sarah Connor must now protect her 10-year-old son John from an even more advanced and powerful cyborg.
Versus Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
A young Chinese warrior steals a sword from a famed swordsman and then escapes into a world of romantic adventure with a mysterious man in the frontier of the nation.
How'd you like that?
The warbling?
You did music for mine, so I had to do it for yours. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, it's just beautiful music and Crouching Tiger.
Played on bamboo. Okay, T2
Wow.
versus Crouching Tiger.
This is like two branches on the same tree of action where one is
Like
this,
they're dancing on the trees, they're fighting. Yeah.
What is this beautiful, well choreographed fight sequences, and the other is just
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
boom, boom, pow, pow, blow things up.
But
Awesome.
it's not just Arnold Schwarzenegger, because you got to give credit to the T-1000.
Absolutely. Robert
Amazing.
Patrick.
Robert Patrick
villain.
is like the standout performance in that.
Not necessarily just what he does, but what they do with him with the visuals.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing. Terminator 2 definitely changed,
Guys,
the whole action genre.
save it because we're letting T2 go ahead.
Death rattle facts for Crouching Tiger,
Just like
please.
that.
No, this seems wrong.
It's an
Because
icon.
Crouching Tiger influenced a genre for a solid decade, right? It perfected the genre in movies that came before it.
Yes. Exposed
But-
a lot of North American audiences to wire work.
But to Joel's point, accessibility is low on Crouching Tiger because it's so fun and unbelievable. It's so cool to watch.
But may I submit something?
yeah,
Yeah, I'll say it. Terminator 2 is better
Watch
if
it.
you've seen Terminator 1.
yes.
Because the whole thing of flipping the one who was hunting him before
yeah.
to protecting him now was one of those mind-blowing moments people in the theaters went, wait, what? And it made such a good twist.
But it's not a requirement to enjoy the movie.
it is not. But I say it elevates it.
It does. It does make it better.
Yeah.
But I, unfortunately, did not see them that way.
Yeah.
I saw T2 first.
And with Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, if you've seen Winnie the Pooh and the Blustery Day before,
Similar.
elevates
You
Tigger,
know-
Crouching Tigger.
You know what make
Oh my gosh.
you know what makes Terminator much worse?
What?
Seeing T2 first. I was
Does it?
real confused in Terminator.
Terminator 1 is a more horror.
Yeah.
I was
Terminator
like,
2 is more
why,
action.
Why is he being so mean? He thumbs up the last one.
That is confusing for a kid.
That's the scenes in Crouching Tiger with the rooftop chase, the bamboo forest chase, a lot of chase here, the tea house brawl. It is magnificent.
This is an influential movie, no
Yes.
question. But this is not a movie that people return to and watch all that often.
No, but I probably should give this one another watch. I think every now and then I just need to watch this. Because I do think...
For the art
yes,
alone.
it's a little bit dull.
Yes.
But it is impressive. If you've not seen Crouching
really
Tiger,
is.
Hidden Dragon, give it a shot.
T2 moves on. Now we have Predator.
A team of commandos on a mission in a Central American jungle find themselves hunted by an extraterrestrial warrior, E.T.
That's not E.T.
Versus Mission Impossible Fallout.
Ethan Hunt and this IMF team. We're just going to do music for everyone now.
Yes, we are.
Along with some familiar allies, race against time after a mission gone wrong. Now, this is interesting because this is the 6th movie in a franchise.
Is this the one with the Burj Khalifa?
No.
Is this the one with the sandstorm?
No. The way I remember it
Zach's
is,
trying to be funny because they kind of tie together.
the way I remember Fallout is it's the one with nuclear fallout.
No, my wife has a better one. This is it's Fallout because they fall out of helicopters
I will
and
stick with me
the
now.
Halo jump as well.
and they fall out of planes.
But I was going to say, some people
fall out of
argue
cars.
that Fallout is the best installment of the franchise. Some have argued that.
I argue that.
Really?
Yes.
Even though it was only the 8th highest grossing film of 2018.
I don't care about money.
All hail Infinity
for
War.
obvious reasons. No, this is one where Tom Cruise, every single movie, he amps up what he dedicates himself to the role. And this movie, he just would not quit. That Halo jump alone, he spent an entire year
I
training.
actually, so I just watched this movie recently.
Yeah.
I
For the
knew
first
about
time.
for the first time. I knew about the Halo jump. CG completely ruins it. The thunderstorm.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
ruins
Because
that
they
jump.
actually shot him, and then they added
if
a
you
thunderstorm.
just had him.
I get what you're saying.
I've seen the
What are
behind
you
the
talking about? That was a real thunderstorm. Tom Cruise didn't jump through a real thunderstorm.
So the behind the scenes are better than the actual scene in the movie.
So, yeah, and this is a good one because I think both movies have their flaws. I think Predator obviously has the legacy, even though the sequels are just horrendous.
Oh.
Predator has this legacy, but what's going on, Predator? Are they? Is it post-war? Are they there for a war? What's happening?
they're not there for
doesn't
they're
matter.
mercenaries.
Because this-
they're not there
Where
for
are
a
they?
war.
Where are they?
They're in I know this.
The jungles of.
It's South America.
Do you know why?
No, Central America.
Do you know why it doesn't matter? Because it's a bunch of army buddies
Yeah.
that get slaughtered one by one.
5th generation fighters, Kent.
Yeah.
5th generation fighters.
I thought they were 4th. I'm so sorry.
No, it doesn't matter because this is the quintessential big dumb action movie from the 80s.
It's
it?
a fictional Central American company because they didn't want to offend.
Because it's almost like a horror film.
No, it is. This is action horror. This is in my horror training list
Yeah.
because it is terrifying to suddenly be the hunted. That is a terrifying thought. And the creature effects are spectacular.
They're spectacular.
Yep.
So I don't think you guys are going to vote for Fallout, but I'm just going to give it some death rattle facts really quick.
Why?
It has the most action, I think, of most movies on this bracket.
It doesn't even have
it's
the
so
most
much
action of Mission Impossible movies.
Yeah,
It
it
absolutely
does.
does. The helicopter chase, bathroom fight, Halo jump, rooftop chase where Tom Cruise broke his leg, the motorcycle police chase. All these
had that
scenes
waiting.
are so... I have every scene here.
Yes, yeah.
All of these scenes are so incredible, but it's almost mind-numbing. That's where I think the flaw comes, and you're going, hey, cut out 30 minutes, save it for the sequel because there's so much happening. I'm too thrilled.
Which, yeah.
Is that weird?
I'm too thrilled.
too
movie.
thrilled. I got to be honest. Like I will give the tip of the cap to Predator. I don't want to watch this movie.
Oh, please.
You don't want to watch Predator?
This Predator is
I don't
regular.
know. Maybe it hasn't aged well in my mind.
Predator is regular Hilton Boy viewing. We've watched this movie
Really?
Sure.
so many times.
Yeah.
We can quote it endlessly, the TV version, endlessly.
Of course. Yeah.
But I love Predator. I think it is a fantastic movie, and I think it is between the two. And this is the divergence of the action genre, but I do feel Predator is more action than Mission
Even though it
Impossible,
is slower.
which is more intrigue and espionage. I think action is straight up mowing down a jungle with a minigun.
But if Mission Impossible
Amazing.
pulls off the espionage, I think that shouldn't be counted against it.
I'm not saying I'm not saying it pulled it off. It pulled it off
Right.
well. But in regard to, you look at Predator, which is a brisk 107 minutes, compared to Mission Impossible, which is 147 minutes.
I had to
And
watch
there
it over
are
2 nights.
Lagging moments. If I'm looking for heart pounding action, Mission Impossible has its moments.
Yeah.
Predator, it's almost the entire time.
Yeah,
so
as an-
I am
as an
voting for
action
Predator.
movie.
I think Predator has the build that is necessary for kind of like a video game sort of movie. There's going to be a boss battle where the main character needs to evolve, and that's what Arnold does in this movie. Whereas I think Mission Impossible, you're like, okay, I've had enough. But once again, I'm just going to give the pity vote to Fallout because for me, I like it more.
Wow, I never thought I'd see the day where you give Mission Impossible a pity vote.
Because I know it's not going
I
forward.
thought that would be your vote.
Well, it is my vote, but also I know how good Predator is as well.
I will watch Mission Impossible Fallout again before I watch Predator. But Predator is a genre definer.
Yeah.
It really is.
Get to the chopper!
Next up, we have Star Wars.
Luke Skywalker, no music, Kent?
Oh,
Luke Skywalker joins the forces. I don't have to. With the Jedi
like,
Knight.
what song?
No, listen to this. I always love these IMDb synopses because they write them as if no one knows what this is.
Right.
Luke Skywalker joins forces with a Jedi Knight, a cocky pilot, a Wookiee, and 2 droids to save the galaxy from the Empire's world-destroying battle station.
And Aliens.
Decades after surviving the Nostromo incident, Ellen Ripley is sent out to reestablish contact with the terraforming colony. It's too much information, but finds herself battling the alien queen and her offspring.
So I want to point this out right now.
Matchup sucks.
This is a hard matchup.
I hate it.
This is a final rounder.
But we actually did seed. We took your suggestions. We whittled it down to 32, and then we seeded them according to worldwide box office numbers. So when this one pulled up, we all kind of went, "Oh no!"
Would Star Wars be considered an action or adventure movie if it didn't have the trench run?
It's the classic hero's journey. That's an adventure.
It is.
It is adventure, but there is.
It's a Western, which are considered action and adventure movies.
Yes, so
guys.
I say yes.
There's plenty of pew pew in Star Wars.
Lots. There's ships. There's flying away. There's chases.
I'm talking just stormtroopers shooting everywhere, and then
Stormtroopers shooting
everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere else.
There's they get in the Millennium Falcon and shoot the TIE fighters.
And then Aliens is once again much like Terminator to Terminator 2, going from a horror to an action.
My first rated R movie.
Alien,
Congratulations.
really?
Yes.
Alien is more of a horror movie, and Aliens is more of an action movie.
It is kind of the James Cameron formula, right? To take a horror movie that he didn't direct the first Alien, but then to make the sequel and go, I'm going to change genres. And then he makes one of the most iconic action movies of all time.
Yeah.
Game over, man. Game
over.
over. This is a difficult one. I am, however, going to give the edge to Star Wars, only because
It's
when I'm
Star
thinking,
Wars.
It's yes, only because it's Star Wars, and when just thinking about which one I've watched more and which one more people have watched, Star Wars has the edge here. In box office,
Aliens is so good.
it is. It is.
We can't just dismiss it.
There's
Okay.
so many good movies on
But
this.
Joel,
This isn't the good movie bracket. This is the action movie bracket.
Yeah,
Dang it.
then you're giving it to, which is a better movie in your mind?
Star Wars.
Okay, so you're giving it to the good movie. Because I'm going to give it to the action movie. Aliens is the better action movie. Entertainment Weekly said it's the greatest pure action movie ever. Empire Magazine gave it number 2 on their list of action movies.
Oh, you subscribe to both those magazines?
Gave it number 10.
You subscribe to all those?
All those.
I read Rolling Stone today. It's terrible.
Yeah, no, it's terrible. But going by the list of credible quote-unquote sources, this is on the list. Star Wars never shows up. In fact, Empire Strikes Back is seen as more of an action movie because they actually use the lightsabers.
But one of these movies
They
gave
use
us
the lightsabers in Star Wars.
They do. No,
One
it's
of
the
these
training.
movies gave us.
Oh, they do not. Darth Vader and
They use them.
Obi-Wan do not use those
I didn't say
lightsabers.
how. I just said use them.
They do use them. One of these movies gave us The Last Jedi, and the other gave us Prometheus.
Whoa.
Wow.
Jeez.
But once again, you're using
is
this.
that can of soda half full or half empty?
Hey, listen, Predator argument.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't use the sequels against it. I think Aliens is one of those, like, the end fight
Yeah.
is
in like the mech.
so incredible.
If
in
you
the
haven't
mech
seen,
suit.
by the way, the series, The Movies That Made Us on Netflix, they do a whole episode on aliens, and it is amazing to me that movie actually came out considering all the drama that happened behind the scenes. And Aliens was filmed on an $18 million budget, which is very small when you consider how it looks and what it was doing.
Right.
So it's an impressive movie, Ken, and it is a very good action
But
movie.
I think you're going a little soft on for legacy, right? Star Wars because it's Star Wars, right? Because of the 50 years of movies it's
There's
created
dogfights,
since.
there's shooting, there's lightsabers.
Yes, if you have to take it at its movie, try and separate it from its legacy and take it as
and
a
Kent
movie.
before was trying to separate it from the trench battle, which is, I don't know if you know this, Kent, literally part of the movie.
No, I like it. I really like it.
But you're saying like,
No,
but without
for-
that action sequence.
For me, that is the action scene.
Okay,
Because
Kent, if you remove all the guns from Aliens, is it an action movie?
I'm not saying remove it. I'm saying it's the one great action set piece of the movie. Zach, I know you got to go Star Wars because we're going to get in trouble.
I actually complained to you guys. You have it on record. I complain to you guys
All
that
the time.
I hate this matchup so much.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be
Same.
here. We shouldn't be talking about these here. This is not a first rounder for sure. But I do have to go with Star Wars, not just because of legacy, but because I love the A New Hope. I love Star Wars. We wore out this tape.
That is a pet peeve of mine, by the way, is when people say, when I say Star Wars, and they're like, which one? And I'm like, if
No,
I say
it's-
Star Wars,
it's the first one.
It's Star Wars.
Yes, that's what it's really called. Okay, I'm sorry, aliens. I didn't want to do it.
Game over, man.
Game over.
Star Wars moves on.
The Force will be with you. Always.
Now we have The Fast and the Furious,
Los Angeles police officer Brian O'Connor must decide where his loyalty really lies when he becomes enamored with the street racing world he's been sent to uncover and to destroy. Oh, that makes it sound like a much smarter movie than it actually is.
They're still in DVD players.
Versus Casino Royale.
After earning 00 status and a license to kill, secret agent James Bond sets out on his first mission as 007.
How is this the only James Bond movie that was even submitted?
Oh, you're right.
That is weird to me because James Bond
there
is like...
are better James Bond
There are better
action
James
movies.
Bond action movies. This is arguably the best James Bond movie, but
more of a James Bond drama.
yeah, exactly. It's the high stakes action world of Texas
I
Hold'em.
call it, it's more of a fast-paced sitting movie.
Fast-paced sitting
Because
movie.
it's a very clever sitting movie.
He saves his life from his Aston Martin.
I don't want to see the sitting scene of this movie again.
Oh boy, that scene alone, man.
but I think people are going, hey, James Bond can do parkour.
James
right?
Bond, it
That
brought
opening
parkour to
sequence
the
is
masses.
fantastic.
Yeah.
It's great.
And then Fast and the Furious. Man,
Okay.
that
Why
movie's
is it
dumb.
this one?
Okay, whoever voted for this, I appreciate you. I see you. But Fast 5 or Furious 7 should have been the pick. Because those are more the straightforward action
And
movies.
this is literally Point Break, but with cars.
You're right.
Instead of surfing.
Like the climactic battle is a race. And then, spoiler alert, do we even need to know? No, it's just a car race. And that's it.
But car racing it's a chase. That's part of an action genre. There's that subgenre of cars. You know, Zach can tell us what car Dom was driving in the final time.
Dodge 68 Dodge Charger.
See?
Or is it 70? I don't remember. I don't like Dodge.
I don't trust Zach now.
Yeah. And then Brian was driving a Mitsubishi Eclipse.
But do either of these movies
No, it was a
profess-
Supra. I suck. I actually don't like this movie that much.
Do
He's
either,
driving a Supra Toyota.
do either movies profess to be an action movie?
I think Casino Royale does because it is in the vein that's already been established in action.
Okay.
It's piggybacking on the rest of the
And
franchise.
that opening sequence alone is action movie to a T.
It is.
And then it slows down.
A lot.
You guys know where I stand. I don't like Fast and the Furious. The later movies are more fun, but this one, this just happens to be a part of car culture that I despise. And I'm a huge James Bond fan. I'm voting Casino Royale. Argue amongst yourselves.
If it were Fast 5 versus Casino Royale, Fast 5
That's
would be
closer.
my pick.
No, for sure.
Easily, because it's straightforward. It knows what it is. It's a dumb action movie.
Is that the one with the?
It's the
safe?
heist where they get
That's the one with the
saved.
sandstorm.
That's the he
With
climbs on the building.
Burj Khalifa, the car he climbs on the Burj Khalifa.
He gets out of the Russian prison.
Yeah, that's the one.
It's got to be Casino Royale.
The franchise that it launched is an iconic franchise. Excuse me, I should clarify. The franchise
and the
Fast and
Furious.
Furious, the Fast and the Furious launched is an iconic action franchise.
Yes.
Not
They
a
went to
fan of it.
space, Joel.
I still haven't
Yes.
seen that one. I'm not a fan of the
But
franchise.
this movie, I'm sorry, this movie sucks. I really hate it.
When I think of Fast and the Furious, though, I'm trying to think of one definitive action scene in that movie, and I cannot. Therefore, I'm choosing Casino Royale
NOS.
as well.
It's them using NOS, which is that's not how
Jordana
NOS
Brewster's in the movie, Joel.
That's about as good as your argument about Megan Fox.
works. Pink S2000s. Well, I hate those. Casino Royale moves on.
The name's Bond. James Bond.
Now we have Mission Impossible.
An American agent under false suspicion of disloyalty must discover and expose the real spy without the help of his organization and find the knock list.
Was that Moby? Versus Raiders of the Lost Ark.
In 1936. I knew you were going to do that. In 1936, once again, they give the date. Archaeologist and adventurer Indiana Jones is hired by the U.S. government to find the Ark of the Covenant before the Nazis can obtain its awesome powers.
This is another one where I have
Awesome.
a title discrepancy all the time. This is just called Raiders of the Lost
Originally, it was just called Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then they added Indiana Jones and the...
I actually hate Mission: Impossible as a title because it messes with the sequels.
Because they should be Mission Impossible :
But I know
Ghost
it's
Protocol.
Mission
Yeah,
Impossible.
no, it's Mission: Impossible dash whatever the
it
title
just ruins
is.
the sequels.
Yeah.
M dash.
Yeah. This one's interesting because you have a total adventure swashbuckler with Raiders.
Yes.
And then Mission Impossible is that spy movie with some very notable set pieces.
Two, again, iconic imagery.
So what are you thinking?
Scenes. So you've got hanging down from the
high wire
thing.
there.
And
Yes.
then, yeah, absolutely. You're trying to be quiet when they're sneaking into the CIA. And then Tom Cruise blowing up off the helicopter in the
Onto
tunnel
the thing.
onto the train.
Oh, don't
That is
forget,
so
also
cool.
don't forget when he smashes the gum on the fish
Smashes
tank
the gum
and
on
it
the-
blows up behind him as he runs
Also,
away.
the intro is terrifying to me. When the
with the
team falls
elevator?
apart, it's terrifying
Ooh.
when everything falls.
I'm sorry. I still think this is the best Mission Impossible. I love it.
I'm with you.
And I just saw it for the first time like a month ago.
Zach, it shouldn't have worked because Mission Impossible was a 60s TV series.
I've seen
Hey, it
episodes
was
of the
rebooted
TV.
in the 80s for 2 seasons.
Oh, yeah, because that worked out. But, I mean, Tom Cruise was the reason it worked, but also the writing was cool.
Yeah.
The stunts were cool. This was definitely before Tom Cruise was doing a lot of his own stunts, probably.
And the mask stuff wasn't overplayed.
Yeah, wait till 2. But like the movie shouldn't work, and look what it started. And then you have arguably the best Indiana Jones movie.
No,
arguably.
I'm saying because we could argue about it.
Because Last Crusade.
Last Crusade's more fun. This one's better.
Some people who've been kicked in the head by a mule might say that
Temple of Doom?
No. The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is the best one.
Oh, yep.
No. This one's tough, but I have to say that whenever I asked this question anecdotally to people in the barbershop, this was 80% of the time the first answer. Because I phrased it like this. When you think of action-adventure movies, what comes to your mind first? Not necessarily what's your favorite. What comes to your mind? Almost every single time people say Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yes.
If you Google it right now, action-adventure movie, it's probably the first result. Mission Impossible is awesome. I'm a big fan. I'm now a huge fan of this franchise, and I love this movie. I will absolutely watch it again over and over, but it's not Raiders of the Lost Ark.
It's a clean sweep, right?
Okay, yeah, it is. Because
Yeah.
and it's weird because once again, if this were the action bracket, I'd question it. But since it's the action adventure bracket, adventure is Indiana Jones.
I hate snakes, Zack! I hate them!
And finally, through the first round, and we're finishing this thing in this episode. Oh my goodness, we have The Princess Bride.
A bedridden boy's grandfather reads him the story of a farm boy turned pirate who encounters numerous obstacles, enemies, and allies in this quest to be reunited with his true love.
Versus The Dark Knight.
When the menace known as the Joker wreaks havoc and chaos in the people of Gotham, Batman must accept one of the greatest psychological and physical tests of his ability to fight injustice.
This is a weird one.
Was that the Saw?
That was the
Yeah.
Princess Bride is a weird one on this bracket.
It is.
I'd say it's arguably more a comedy.
Comedy adventure.
But the thing is that once again, the comedy, they're not trying to make each other laugh on screen. The comedy comes from what's happening.
I think the comedy comes from just watching it happen, like the sword fighting, because there's some cool sword fights here.
Yes.
But you're
It's the
never
interplay.
scared. Right? It's the interplay.
Never scared. Did
only-
you see the shrieking eels?
Oh, okay. I agree. Also, the
RRUSs?
I don't think they exist.
the part with the most stakes for me is the machine that takes years off your life.
Yeah.
Like that's
It's like
terrifying.
sci-fi level crazy.
But this is a movie based on dialogue, which I think is such a Utah favorite, right?
It is. It's the most quotable movie in Utah.
I don't think it's
Napoleon
even
Dynamite
Utah.
was there for a minute.
I don't even think it's just in Utah quotable because it is like cult classic.
I think what was it?
status.
The recent 20th, 30th anniversary that
when they had
happened
all the celebrities
right
doing
around
it?
the time.
Listen,
of the
just like we
pandemic?
save Newsies, we save Princess Bride. I think Utah made this thing what it is because it's such a family movie, which maybe it might be on the wrong bracket.
And I might go out there and say this. I think this is one of the most genre-crossing movies out there.
Okay.
Where you
This
get
is
the
very difficult
action
to
adventure,
define.
you get the romance, you get the comedy, you get,
Totally.
even get horror in some
Yeah.
parts.
If you go onto IMDb right now, I believe you'll find that the first category is adventure and the second is family. That's tough to define.
Family's a hard genre to define.
Yes.
in general, because it's such a big umbrella.
so just
I think the
gosh
Princess,
darn likable.
I think The Princess Bride is a movie of movies, but I don't think it's an action movie. But I also don't think The Dark Knight is an action movie.
You're
I
wrong.
think this
You're
is-
wrong, Zach.
No, the Dark Knight, and that's what elevated it. That's what. It's not just a dumb superhero cape flick. This is a crime drama. And that's why it's so much better than everything else. It's the only hero movie on the superhero on this bracket, and even then, he's not a superhero.
I was shocked by the lack of James Bond movies that we got submitted. I was
Yeah.
also shocked
That
by
Av-
the lack of superhero
that Avengers
movies
is
in
not
the
here?
action
No,
movie
they chose
bracket.
the right one.
That Superman's
Avengers
not
is TV level quality. Let's
Okay.
be real.
Okay.
Infinity War should have been on the list.
Infinity War.
Yeah.
Not Endgame.
Not
But
Endgame.
but the
Oh,
Dark,
you too.
The Dark Knight is a thrilling crime drama. I don't know that it should be here on
the
this
thrilling,
bracket.
like the bank heist at the beginning, that is kind of like an action movie.
Sure.
The chase where the truck flips.
I really
The explosion
I
of a
really-
hospital.
I really don't like the chase.
What?
What?
It's so confusing when
You
they go
prefer
under
pod racing?
When they go under into the tunnels, it's confusing. I don't know what's happening now. The imagery.
Have you
of
ever
the truck
driven in
flipping,
Chicago? It is confusing.
I have to say it's more of an action movie. than
if we're
Princess
looking
Bride.
at hero villain, this is one of the best examples. on the
Chasing
list.
and fighting.
The duality of these two.
I love that in this movie called The Dark Knight, Bruce Wayne rarely makes an appearance. He is Batman basically the entire time.
Yeah.
Is he ever
and so
truly
you
Bruce
really,
Wayne?
exactly, you really get the hero versus villain, which,
Yeah.
as we talked about at the beginning, like that's so important for our action movies. Wesley is a great hero,
Yes.
Fantastic.
but
Humperdinck.
Humperdinck's a great villain.
It's a comedy.
He's
it
so
should
smarmy.
be. If we do comedy of comedies, I want to talk about Princess Bride again.
It may. I'm not excluding it if someone submits it for
If
the
we
comedy
do drama of
bonus.
dramas, I wouldn't mind talking about The Dark Knight. But here, it's got to be The Dark Knight.
Yes, it is.
I agree. Sorry, Princess Bride.
Some men just want to watch the world burn.
Let's get ready to kill some darlings.
Oh my goodness. We've talked about all these movies. We're going to move through this fast and furious, but not like the Fast and Furious.
Without the Fast and Furious. Yeah.
Sorry about that. All right. Moving on.
Are we just going gut check? Because I'm
Yes.
going to hurt with every single one of these.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no
Don't think
winning
too much.
after this. This is going to be hard on everyone.
Mistakes will be made, and that's okay.
No, never. Not a
Bacon
Baconsale.
We have Jurassic Park versus Mad Max Fury Road.
So Jurassic Park has raptors in the kitchen. Great scene. Clever girl. The T-Rex Jeep scene, right? We all remember this. My goodness. Mad Max Fury Road has driving into the sandstorm. The War Cavalry arriving with a flaming guitar. The Doof Warrior in tow. The fight between Furiosa and Max, which the choreography with that one, go back and watch that. It's super cool. This is a newer one, which we could all see as straight up action. And this is one that we just hold so dear. And that's why I'm so split here, because
This is hard.
if I'm going to sit down and say I feel like watching a thrilling movie, Mad Max Fury Road. If I want a movie that's comfort food, it's Jurassic Park. Do you guys have a choice?
I do. And I'm strictly looking at this once again from an action plus accessibility.
Now, does that mean nostalgia? Because to me, that equals nostalgia for you.
I'm looking at the fact that Jurassic Park made $1.1 billion at the box office, that it was at one time the highest grossing film ever, beating out E.T. and then getting defeated by
Avatar, right?
Titanic.
Yeah, and then Avatar.
Then Avatar, yeah. But
So you're going to make a case for biggest box office being quality movies?
in this genre, it's an element.
Okay.
You can't deny box office appeal. You can't, because
Or
that shows
10,
a lot of people are
10
going back to
Academy
this.
Award nominations for Fury Road. In a
And
movie.
several wins.
Yes.
Essentially all the technical wins.
You mean the film winning 3 Academy Awards for technical achievements in sound design? For
Love
Jurassic
it.
Park?
I love this. Well played, sir.
And also, Jurassic Park has been selected by the Library of Congress to be in the National Film Registry. Almost, I was going to say, not all of these action movies get that achievement. I'm giving this to Jurassic Park simply because the action in it is heart-pounding and thrilling the entire time. And it's
You're describing Fury Road.
well, but I was going to mention dinosaurs because the dinosaurs aren't even in it that much.
And that's what I think it's a slice of fear. Every once in a while, you have a scene that is so cool to watch because dinosaurs are scary. But Fury Road is going to be my vote because the editing, production design, to score, every filmmaking aspect here is top notch.
Watching Jurassic Park,
it's steak that you bite into, and it's always good.
look, Ken, I'm not going to downplay Mad Max Fury Road,
And I'm not going to downplay Jurassic Park.
but it's basically just a road trip movie.
Straight up action movie, you mean? Because you know this.
I downplayed it intentionally.
I know. And I'm like, I will not let you.
I wanted to see your angry eyebrows. No, I feel like Jurassic Park, from beginning to end, is that kind of like hold my breath. I'm feeling the danger they're feeling on screen. Mad Max Fury Road is a fun roller coaster. They're both action movies. One is more adventure.
So one
is
war
more
rig
action.
versus 300 cars behind you. It's the pursuit. Both. It's dinosaurs versus a cavalry.
My favorite part of Mad Max Fury Road is the part in the desert, though. Remember that part?
Where there's
Yes.
explosions
The amazing 2 hours of it.
and a guitar on fire.
Zach, we're so sorry. This is gonna happen the whole show.
Not if you vote first, Zach.
Yeah.
If you vote first, you put the burden on one of us.
I'll put it in there. Okay, I'll just say it. Both of these movies are on my list of all-time favorites. And
Really?
Yes, both of them. But Jurassic Park's easily top 3. So I have to vote Jurassic Park.
Top 3 movie or top 3 action movie?
Top 3, both. Jurassic Park moves on.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
Now we have Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl versus Die Hard.
Hooah! This may be one of the most definitive adventure movies out there against one of the most definitive action movies out there.
I think what makes Black Pearl work is that Captain Jack is not quite an action star.
No.
It's only in the sequels when he becomes an action hero that it gets bad.
He's almost not even the main character in the original movie. It's like Will and Elizabeth.
Are both of these movies surprisingly good?
Die Hard's not surprisingly good.
Are you sure
No,
it's not
it surprised
surprisingly
people
good?
because they're like
Die Hard is incredible.
I understand that
Hands
it's
down.
No, but when they
it's
cast
a
him,
dumb cop movie.
Oh,
That's
I get
awesome.
what you're saying.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
when it came out, people were like, Bruce Willis, the guy from Moonlighting,
Right.
is going to be an action hero.
Yeah. Or it's like an adaptation of a Disney ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, both of them shouldn't have been as good as they are.
Right.
But one of them's Die Hard.
We all love pirates. We all love all these
I really
movies.
love Pirates. It a little bit watered down in the sequels, but it's Die Hard.
Yeah.
Can I just do this real quick?
Yeah, please.
I want to read my review for Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl. It says, I remember when I first heard they were making a movie based on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, I was very skeptical. However, the first time I saw it, it blew me away, and it still holds up after all these years. None of the sequels have the same magic as this one does. Curse of Black Pearl is unique, it's thrilling, it's comedic, it's everything you want an adventure movie to be. Drink up me hearties, yo-ho. 5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
You don't do that anymore.
Now, I would like to read my review for Die Hard. Fact. Die Hard is one of the best action movies of all time. 5 stars.
That's all you
Nice.
said?
It says it right there.
Yeah.
But it also said greatest adventure movie. So
did?
I am going for Die Hard
All
as
right.
one of the best. Let's move forward here. I'm so sorry, Pirates.
Pirates is really good, though.
Yeah.
It is really good.
really good.
These are all really good.
They're really good. Yeah. Okay, Die Hard moves on.
Now I have a machine gun. Ho, ho, ho.
Now we have John Wick versus Gladiator.
All right, Joel doesn't really like Gladiator. Joel, it seems like you're not really sold on John Wick.
No, I love John Wick. Just
Okay.
in the context of the two, I have to downplay it when I don't want to vote for it.
He was expecting
I
Independence
see.
Day to move on.
I was. And so I have to downplay it. But looking
Independence.
between these, there's no doubt in my mind John Wick should move on as the action movie.
I was questioning Gladiator even being here in the
Even
first
though
place.
Gladiator got number 4 on Ranker, which is a user review
I like
site.
Ranker.
I like Ranker as well.
It's that whole it's a better movie thing. It's
Well,
like more enriching
Yeah.
and more interesting, but
It is.
action wise, John Wick.
Yeah. It is
By the way,
action
I
movie
like
of the
this.
two.
I like this term here. It says Gladiator has been credited with reinventing the sword and sandal genre, which I was like, sword and sandal.
Oh, that's what I call it.
yeah. I just call it adventure movie, but I like that.
Yeah, like I went and saw a Henry Cavill Sword and Sandal movie just because I had heard he was cast as Superman. It was
By the
terrible.
way,
Yeah,
and Gladiator,
Immortals.
Gladiator won Best Picture that year. It is the second highest grossing film of 2000. Do you guys know what number 1 is?
2000?
Yeah.
Crouching. No, I don't know.
Josie and the Pussycats.
Mission Impossible 2.
What?
That's the only thing that beat Gladiator in the box
hold on.
office.
Did a slow motion dove just go by? You voting for John Wick?
I'm voting for John Wick in regard to
Claim
action.
sweep.
John Wick moves on.
Yes, John Wick, that's right. I'd like to make a dinner reservation for 12.
Now we have Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade versus Inception.
I hate this bracket. Okay, so the scenes from Last Crusade, Young Indy's intro on the circus train, so fun.
River Phoenix.
great.
The motorcycle chase, the Venice boat chase, and the tank chase at the end, which is exceptional.
Chase.
That's a fun one.
Scenes from Inception, we have the city bending, which is visuals we've never seen before. The hallway fight, which we all know. By the way, do you guys ever picture yourself trying to film the hallway fight?
Yes.
Like what would I do? Would I fall over a lot? Would they have to stop the spinning hallway? Because that thing was really moving.
Absolutely real.
The Mombasa chase and the cafe explosion. This is a visual treat.
Can't just say Mombasa chase. What does that even
Mombasa
mean?
chase, that's the scene with Tom Hardy when those two goons come after them and they kind of just travel through the streets.
Yeah.
Really fun to watch.
I
hate this bracket.
For me, Last Crusade is not as much of an action-y movie. It is to me more
It's
of
an action
it's
comedy.
a buddy comedy, which I love
Well, no,
because those Harrison Ford and Sean Connery are great.
They are. And I'm going to kind of agree with you here. I feel like Raiders of the Lost Ark is action drama, and I think Indiana Jones and Last Crusade is action comedy.
The stuff with what's her name, Ilsa,
Yes.
where they like
Yeah.
that interplay, the little
what is the noise
love
Ken
triangle
makes?
there.
But now it's woof, woof, woof.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, the story itself, what they're searching for, you love that. The only the penitent man will pass. Like that's all good, but it to me is not as nearly as actiony as Inception.
Inception being a love letter to James Bond films.
Yes. See-
But then taking it up to a cerebral level
Sure.
is my candy.
However, I would argue that I think that Indiana Jones and Last Crusade is more actiony than Inception because Inception does have a lot more dramatic depth to it, being these long conversations, these discussions of philosophy and what's going to happen with action pieces interspersed throughout. Whereas Indiana Jones it's the ride at Disneyland, is that roller coaster
But
ride
I
you're going
think
through the whole time.
Last Crusade, I love it, but it complements what came with Raiders before.
We named the dog Indiana.
Like I think it's a brilliant movie, but it is not Inception. And I think Inception for the iconic hallway fight alone, I think that's what
One
really puts
fight
it over the
does
edge.
not an action
Kind of
movie
like
make.
my argument with the trench run, right?
The snowy the snowy layer at the end. That's
Yes.
a huge action scene.
No, there are action scenes in it, but I do feel like it's more of a drama. than action.
The action concepts within this movie are greater than the whole.
And I think the Indiana Jones Last Crusade is more adventure in that regard, more thrills per.
I'm saying we got Raiders. I think we're covered.
I think Indiana Jones Last Crusade needs to move on.
I think it is a very enjoyable film, but Inception has better action. So I'm going to go with Inception. And Inception moves on.
Well, dreams, they feel real while we're in them, right? It's only when we wake up that we realize something was actually strange.
Now we have The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers versus The Matrix. Oh, my word.
Now, come on. No, guys. Let's not belabor the point here. When it comes to good movies, these are both good movies. No one's going to argue either one of these is a bad movie.
Okay.
But we're looking at action here, action movies. And when it comes to Two Towers, there are two really good action moments.
And a bunch of talking.
And a bunch of talking and walking.
You just said there was a bunch of talking in The Matrix, too.
I would say the fight between Gandalf and the Balrog.
Last argument, not this one.
Helm's Deep is 40 minutes. There's the last March of the Ents. There are several action scenes which are great.
I don't like the Ents.
Well, no, Zack hates trees.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't like trees. It's almost a vegetable.
Don't eat the Ents. No, Joel, you're right. I don't want to belabor the point because it is Matrix, but I want to say as an ensemble, accessible fantasy movie, which has so rarely been done in Hollywood.
Yeah.
How amazing is Lord of the Rings?
Is it accessible?
We should do a whole show on Lord of the Rings.
Did you see how much money they made, Zach?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I appreciate your argument made, Joel, last round about standing on its own.
Well, and that's
ultimately,
true. With Two Towers being on its own, it's missing the bookends, and The Matrix is the only movie ever made of that series.
It's
so
weird that they have never made a
stopped.
sequel.
It's amazing.
Such a good concept. The Matrix moves on.
Come on, stop trying to hit me and hit me.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, my word. We have Terminator 2, Judgment Day versus Predator. Are you kidding me, Arnold?
No.
Wow.
Good luck. So I'm picturing Arnold rolling in the mud, right? And then you've got the T-800.
I'll tell you what tips it. The T-800 is amazing, but the T-1000. It's for me.
I tell you what,
I think the villain is better in Terminator.
Being seen, and like we've kind of said, sequels kind of ruin things, but T2 became the sequel, the standard.
It is one of the few
Because
instances where the sequel may be better than the original.
It's the
well,
Godfather 2 of action movies.
And not only, we see sequels copy a formula, and this one, sure, is there a chase? Do they need to go back in time and everything? But to escalate in every single way. And then to finish the story, it's so cool they ended with T2. It was so cool. No more Terminators.
Would have been a
just
great
seeing the
idea.
road drive by and
The thumbs up.
Yeah.
What if they had done like a female Terminator?
Might have worked. I don't know.
But yeah, Terminator, it was the first movie to break 300 million at the worldwide box office. Predator is such a great movie, though. It's so cool. It's a great Saturday morning adventure action movie.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. This is difficult, but I think I have to give the edge to T2 Judgment Day because of how it changed the genre. It wasn't just the fun action movie that you can watch over and over again. You watched it, and at the time, your brain would just go, what did I just see? How did that just happen?
Yep.
It's an action movie with more, whereas Predator, straightforward action, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So T2 gets the edge from me.
T2 for the sweep.
Wow. Terminator 2 goes on.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Now we have Star Wars versus Casino Royale.
Basically the same movie.
Yeah, I'm going to eliminate Casino Royale.
Both icons.
Just like that?
Yeah, just like that. I like it. I think it's good. Star Wars is not my favorite in the franchise.
Well, no.
I think it's a fun movie. It's a cool adventure movie, but it is better than Casino Royale.
Fantastic. I mean, Kent, but just think about that car, the car crash in Casino Royale.
They flipped the Aston Martin because
That is one of
Vesper's
those-
in the road.
Oh, yeah. And that is one of those moments where I gasped in the theater, and then watching that car roll, my eyes were like saucers, just huge.
And you mentioned it, but the interrogation torture scene.
It's horrible.
Wow.
But I think, yes, I got to give it. The stunt work is fantastic in Casino Royale, but I do believe Star Wars has the edge here as well.
Zach?
Star Wars as well. Star Wars moves on.
What?
And now we have Raiders of the Lost Ark versus The Dark Knight.
No, this is the final round. So if you guys are going by your Star Wars logic, which is a better movie? Because that's kind of what you're going with. Oh, wow.
No, I'm looking
No,
here.
it's purely on action. There's one thing that separates these two in my mind of being the better action adventure movie, and it is whoosh, sound effects that you get from the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Wait,
the
that
punch
makes
sound
a better
effect
action movie?
is so good in this movie.
Speaking of which, when I watched Enter the Dragon, I was shocked by how loud those punches were.
We have one representative for superhero movies, and that is the movie that elevated all of them and became the gold standard, to which they are all compared to.
But
now.
it also ruined the genre because everyone went, ooh, dark and gritty reboot. That'll work for every superhero.
The industry took the wrong lesson from this movie.
But we can't judge it based on that. We're looking at these movies as themselves.
Sure.
In that
we got to
regard.
find an edge somehow. It's Raiders of the Lost Ark for me.
Oh, you're taking the first vote then.
I will, because this is difficult. But like I said, this is a quintessential action adventure movie. And I think The Dark Knight, again, I think it honestly fares better in the drama bracket because it is a thrilling crime drama.
Are you making the case that it's more of a film of films?
Maybe, yeah.
Than an action movie.
If we were talking
movies.
better movies, I could make a case for The Dark Knight.
I get what you're saying.
But as an awesome action adventure, especially like a dad movie, Raiders of the Lost Ark is so many things that have to come together to make this kind of movie. It does them all. You have the charming lead character. You have the clear villain. It's the Nazis.
I mean, it's the Nazis, and there's a villain.
Then I get there's the whole like the plot. Indiana Jones had no effect on the plot, right? But it's still, as far as our protagonist goes,
right?
We see the hero, and we get to see him do heroic.
I don't want to say anything negative about either movie because I love both movies so much.
It's not about.
Do I prefer Dark Knight? Yes, it's in my top 10 movies of all time.
Yeah,
Raiders is a movie I've seen far more because of how long it's been out and me as a kid, right? Because you can rewatch everything.
But there's been enough. I mean, Dark Knight came out in 2008. That's plenty of time to establish a legacy, and it will be remembered for all time.
I'm going to give the pity vote, and I'm going to go second just to make Joel choose.
You jerk!
I'm going to go Dark Knight.
You say it's a pity vote.
Just because I feel like Raiders will be your choice.
Well, and it's very difficult because I gave both of these 5 stars.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my reviews for either one of these, and they're both really well done.
This is the toughest section of the bracket.
This is a very tough section of the bracket. Both made, fun fact, Dark Knight made about 10 times its budget. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of comparing that based on, because obviously one was made much later than the other was going to make more money at the box office.
Yeah.
Dark Knight made about 10 times its budget, and Raiders of the Lost Ark made about, well over 10 times its budget.
Yeah.
I can't do the math, but I'm thinking about action, though. Like, obviously, I like both these movies a ton, and I'm thinking about in Indiana Jones, there were some parts there's some slower parts, when they're on the boat and traveling and do a little kissy scene. That's always the part I kind of fast forward.
Sure. Think of him hanging off of trucks.
And that's always fun. And then I look at The Dark Knight, and while I absolutely love The Dark Knight, there's some parts in there that I may roll my eyes at. Like, how did he survive that fall? Doesn't matter. He's Batman.
You're sounding like Zack.
He's a Batman.
But I absolutely love both movies.
But you know what I love in my action movies is just moral dilemma and quandary.
But shouldn't you sometimes be challenged?
Sure.
Isn't that okay?
Sure.
Right? Sometimes
I'm
you have
okay
a John
with
Wick. Sometimes it's like, think about more.
That's why we all love this movie.
Right.
I trash on it, but it's I can't deny it's awesome and I love it. And I saw it 3 times in theaters, and I've seen it, half dozen times since.
Sure.
I've actually seen The Dark Knight more than Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Really?
Yeah. But for me, Raiders is just undeniably cool guy action adventure movie.
Do you feel like you're making a wrong choice no matter which one you cut?
Yeah. I'm like, okay, I'll choose this one. Oh, that hurts. Oh, I'll choose this one. Oh, it hurts. Like, this feels like the end round kind of level.
It really does.
But we got to move on.
And we are past poking holes in the other. They're all great.
And I don't want to cut out our only superhero movie, but I also don't want to cut out our remaining Indiana Jones movie.
I hear you.
But I got to give it to Indy.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I'm honestly, like surprised either way.
And if, like I said, if this were just the action bracket, Dark Knight definitely has more pew pew pow pow. Mm-hmm. But Indiana Jones is like iconic adventure movie. It revitalized the adventure genre.
Save it for the next round. Raiders of the Lost Ark moves on.
Give me the whip. Adios, senor.
Okay, new round. See, we're going fast now. This is just getting harder and harder.
Fast and painful.
Yes, because we have Jurassic Park versus Die Hard. Have fun.
I'd like to see? I'd like to see John McClane taking on dinosaurs.
That'd be great.
Can we write that movie?
He could do it.
Die Hard in a
dinosaur
park?
teeth on the ground. He could walk on a barefoot.
Let's take a step back, though. That's why Die Hard's good. He's not a superhero.
That's what I mean, though.
Yeah.
It's great.
He's the everyman. But like every movie, we talked about this on a previous show, but every movie after Die Hard was basically, it's Die Hard on a bus. Oh, it's Die Hard on a ship.
The James Bond franchise
it's Die Hard
became
on a
Die
blank.
Hard. Yeah.
And I'm not saying he invented the action hero quipper, but he's one of the best at it. And this is John McClane being that person. To the point where now it's like overly quippy in every single action movie.
It's a character trait that we haven't discussed a lot.
Yeah. Oh, man. Both movies are such good escapism. I can't say anything negative about either one.
No.
But I'm going Die Hard. It's in the Library of Congress. Bruce Willis's undershirt is in the Smithsonian. This is one of AFI's 100 greatest American movies, and it's Empire's #1 action movie. Not that matters, but still.
I can't remember which one of you mentioned it. Maybe it was you, Joel, saying that Jurassic Park is a little bit more of a horror movie.
It's got horror elements.
It's got horror elements.
Definitely.
Do you think that takes away from like the action side of it?
Well, and that's the problem is the action adventure, it does, having those two together does make it much more difficult. Because if I were just going straight action, it would be Die Hard easily. But because adventure is part of that genre, Jurassic Park has that element.
John McClane adventures through Nakatomi
Well, what's
Plaza.
the adventure? Babysitting? Is Jurassic Park
That is a
Adventures
movie,
in
and that's
Babysitting
a
in Jurassic Park?
Well, it's survival.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily an adventure as much as it's just pure survival. Mm-hmm. What'd you vote?
Die Hard.
Okay, I'm going to vote Jurassic Park then.
Well done, sir. Yes.
Okay,
Sorry, I thought it was on me. It's not on me. You're the one that people can get mad at.
I have to send Die Hard on. Die Hard moves on.
Come out to the coast. We'll get together. Have a few laughs.
Now we have John Wick versus Inception.
Oh, man.
These I kind of couldn't be more different.
Inception is clearly the better story.
Yes.
John Wick clearly has better action.
Yes.
By far.
Better action sequences, yes.
So by that logic,
John Wick goes ahead. That easy.
That easy?
Yeah.
against your darling.
Inception is my 6th favorite movie of all time. And John Wick is like number 87.
But get the hallway scene alone.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Inception is a little...
That was your pillar you put there last time.
Yes, but against John Wick, against the nightclub fight, good night.
Inception's a little heady. And John Wick is refreshingly simple. I'm going to say John Wick
Well, it's not like we're going for smooth brains here,
No,
right?
I'm going to say John Wick as well.
So John Wick moves ahead then.
It does.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I give a pity vote to Inception
Yes,
then?
sure. Yeah, absolutely.
John Wick goes on.
But now, yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.
All right, now we have The Matrix versus T2, Judgment Day.
Oh, no! Guys, I'm officially announcing my retirement from the
Yes,
show
I agree.
right now. Should we all quit?
We're done.
We
Oh, we like
can't.
to thank our patrons.
We can't. We got to move ahead with The Matrix.
this is the longest episode.
Final round.
Okay. I'm just going to give quick bullet points. Bullet time. I think Matrix saved action as a genre in the 90s when it was getting a little stale. T2 was such an iconic movie for its time, and it's James Cameron. And James
It
Cameron
came out early 90s, 91.
early 90s. Yeah, and
So
where,
it was riding on the coattails of the
Arnold
80s action
Schwarzenegger's
scene.
fame and,
Yeah.
and, you know, big, brawny, strong guys, whereas you have wimpy Keanu Reeves doing karate.
Yeah.
But in such an impressive way. I would, to go over scenes, because I think we're all struggling here.
Yeah.
Matrix has the subway fight, Trinity's escape from the cops, the bullet dodge, like I said, the sparring program, the lobby. T2 has the shootout at the mall, breaking out of the mental hospital with Sarah Connor.
Awesome.
The climactic fight at the steel mill, which I kind of think was underwhelming for a Terminator movie, but
bit.
still good. And then the truck chase, which I think is probably the
truck
best
chase is
action
the best.
movie. And also the T-1000 chasing with his little hook hands.
Getting shot with a shotgun.
Both are great. I would say The Matrix for action has more iconic scenes. I don't want to go first.
Okay. You've been going first a lot. Joel.
Because he has opinions. I'm having a hard time here as well. Because this is basically bookending the 90s action genre.
Yeah, good
you got
call.
T1, you got, in 91, you got Terminator 2. And then in 99, you get The Matrix. And these movies couldn't be more different from each other. And yet they're both sci-fi action.
Yeah.
They are.
That is so bizarre to me.
And both high concept.
Yeah.
Granted, the high concept had already been introduced in the first Terminator.
Yeah.
Still stands pretty well on its own.
It does. I'm going to vote first, and I'm voting for T2 Judgment
Okay.
Day.
I'm going to vote second, and I vote for The Matrix.
Yes. because
No.
because here's why. Because when I think of action movies, when I think of amazing iconic movies, The Matrix is going to be one of the first ones I talk about. It's like game changing.
Yeah.
But when I think of action movies, T2 is going to be one of the first out of my mouth. And so I got to pick Terminator 2.
Okay. And for me,
These are both 5 stars.
this could strictly be a reflection of age, right? One of these came out when I was a baby, and the other I was a young kid.
Bigger baby.
We're on the playground, and we're like, there was the one kid who had seen it. He's like, I saw the most amazing movie. It's called The Matrix, and he literally explained the entire plot to me, and I was like, I must see this movie.
Fun fact that happened to me at the Missionary Training Center. While waiting
sorry.
in line for lunch, someone explained the entire movie to me, and I was like, that makes no sense.
Yeah, I adore The Matrix. It's like top pillar of tier 1 for me in what it brought to the table. I mean, Terminator 2 is at that table too, but whatever.
They both have the heads at the table.
They do.
Getting rid of either one of these is a mistake.
Yes. Stupid box office determining our seating.
Uh-huh. We reshuffled this. This could be a final
I think
round.
I'm going to be the villain of this episode.
Really
Yeah.
dare.
Don't.
The Matrix moves on.
Whoa! It was gonna.
Listen,
I
I'm
would
so
react
sorry.
That way either way.
I'm so sorry.
What?
But I'm saying, Zach, you said Inception's a little too heady. I think The Matrix is also too heady, but it's too heady in all the right action ways. I think it delivers the Chosen One storyline so well.
Yeah, it does.
Where Eddie Furlong, bless his soul.
Nah.
I'm so sorry, but we already have a Die Hard. I don't think we need a T2. I think we're going maybe too nostalgic on this. Okay. And I think the Matrix 4 action.
Oh, we're not going too nostalgic. I'm picking the one I loved from the 90s right before I went on my mission.
The other one I love from the 90s. I made a mistake, and I'm going to have to live by that.
That's fine. You made a good mistake. The Matrix moves on. There was no right answer.
I know Kung Fu.
Show me.
Now we have Star Wars versus Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Now this, okay.
I'm going first.
go ahead.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Stop. Wait. I want to give a little thought.
I don't
here.
care. Raiders.
These are icons, man.
Your vote is stricken. It doesn't count. I still
If
get a
this
vote
is
first.
the blockbuster bracket, this
No,
is
but
the
that's
final
what I'm saying.
round.
Like the last round was so interesting because it was both sci-fi and action together. This is a fantastic matchup because once again, this is a final round pick. This is like two iconic George Lucas versus Steven Spielberg here, but they're both
What's
working
George
together.
Lucas versus George Lucas and Steven Spielberg?
Yes. So this is a hard one for Star Wars.
So Star Wars has the trash compactor scene, which is so much fun. The escape from the Death Star and the trench run. Raiders has the boulder, which was great. Fighting in the marketplace, which is like...
I love that.
For like a swashbuckler, really fun,
yeah.
right?
Shooting
the consequence of looking into the Ark and the desert chase.
Did you
which
just
I
get
brought up.
nostalgic about shooting a guy?
Oh,
When
it's
he
so
shot the guy,
good.
that improv shooting.
It is real good.
But I am going to put it out there for Raiders. Most online publications agree. They don't actually consider Star Wars in either action or adventure.
Raiders has a better story for sure.
See, Ken, I'm able to form my own opinions rather than magazines I don't
What
subscribe
box
to.
office?
Hey, that's Cold Hard Facts. That's not a magazine.
Okay.
I'm not flipping through the pages of Vogue being like,
The internet
what's your
never
opinion
lies.
on action movies? You vote for Raiders.
Yes.
Zach, you haven't voted yet.
I haven't.
I'm voting for Star Wars. Only, and I have a reason for this too. But once again, it is the elevation factor of my heart, of my blood pressure. And Raiders has some face-meltingly awesome scenes.
Yeah.
And Star Wars has just a lot of just fun action sequences as well. This is not an easy match. I'm not saying I'm 100% on one side or the other. I'm saying I'm leaning towards Star Wars.
Harrison Ford does like Indiana Jones as a franchise.
Way better because he's the lead. It's his movie.
Yeah.
I'm a dad now. Dads love action movies. And dads love Raiders of the Lost Ark. So I'm picking Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh,
I'm
Dads
shaking.
love Star Wars.
Guys, kids love Star Wars.
Are you feeling anxiety right now?
yes.
I had a straight up panic attack on the way here.
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
All right, we're to the final four.
Hold on, I got to scroll through my 20 pages of notes.
Oh, okay. Just
Now they're getting all
Hey, guys,
interspersed.
our final four?
Wait, oh yeah, what's the final four?
it's actually a great final four. It's fairly well balanced. So we have Die Hard versus John Wick, and The Matrix versus Raiders of the Lost Ark. There's a lot of variety there. It spans a couple different decades.
Oh my gosh.
It's interesting.
One of those is an
Tough.
easy pick for me.
Tough to pick.
One of
Really?
those is an easier pick.
Okay, well, let's go the first matchup. Die Hard versus John Wick.
Die Hard.
That easy.
That easy because I think without Die Hard there would be no John Wick.
They're that related?
In the sense of like basically a guy you wouldn't expect it from.
Yeah, I agree with that.
An everyman type guy that turns out to be really good at what he does. And I feel like Bruce Willis established that in Die Hard, and John Wick is doing well, but
Yeah.
building on the shoulders of Die Hard in that regard.
Die Hard does some cool things like when the helicopter explodes, right? At the top of the building.
Yeah.
Or the detonation goes off and John McClane jumps off with the fire hose.
Yes.
Granted, it feels very 80s, but what it does for 80s movies is just classic.
And also, I will also say, in regards to villains, Alan Rickman versus assassins.
Guys. Punk kids.
You
Yeah.
mean everyone in the
Theon Greyjoy.
Russian mafia? Because everyone.
But that's
in
what I'm saying.
Russian mafia.
The stronger, prominent villain of Die Hard, I think, elevates this to a better action status than just John Wick versus whoever he happens to run into, no matter how awesomely he kills them.
If you even watch clips of John Wick, it's exciting to watch.
Yes.
And it shouldn't be because it's straight up gunplay.
Yes.
Die Hard goes through, though.
So you two are voting for
Yeah.
Die Hard?
Yeah.
Clean sweep. Okay. Pity vote to John Wick.
Okay,
Do you
would
wanna
you have gone John Wick?
Do you want to give a pity vote to John Wick, or you just want to do straight Die Hard? What does your anxiety tell you?
Baconsale.
You're not good enough to be here.
Hey, are you reading my thoughts?
I'm worried that the iconography of Die Hard almost
right.
gets in the way. I was talking about it at the barbershop today, and multiple people are like, I haven't even seen Die Hard, but pop culture has made me feel like I've seen Die Hard because it's omnipresent. You see all of the key scenes.
I think the regular guy becoming the action hero, though, some schlub whose marriage is kind of failing,
A schlub
go
who's
into
a New
party.
York City cop and actually...
Yeah, but what he performs shouldn't be up to task, right? Like, he shouldn't be able to do all that he does.
It's a fun everyman story, and he does it better than anybody in movies.
He does.
Regardless, Die Hard goes on.
Yippee-ki-yay.
Now we have The Matrix versus Raiders of the Lost Ark. Another
This is not
final
easy.
matchup.
It hasn't been easy since the Sweet 16. That's a sports term, right?
They're very different movies.
They are.
They're going for different things. You feel different things while you're watching them.
Are you confident? So Indiana Jones was brought to the table as a love letter to serials.
Yeah,
right?
the adventure serials of the 30s and 40s.
The Matrix came around at a time when 90s movies were just really quite stale, a lot of cuts, a lot of bad soundtracks, and it was revolutionary because the camera became the choreography. And I'm not really giving my vote here. I'm saying both have done such incredible things in the times
That's
they were
what they
created.
bring to the table, for sure.
I'm going to go first, and I know it's action adventure, and adventure feels super secondary to me. And if I think action movies, there are two movies I think of, and The Matrix is one of them.
Was the other one T2?
That's the third one.
So you're voting for The Matrix.
I am voting for The Matrix.
This is too difficult of a decision for me,
Yeah.
Kent.
What arbitrary thing are you going to use?
I'm not using arbitrary. I'm just going to look up quick facts here.
Oh, I'm going to flip a coin.
So just looking at cold hard facts, which is the only thing that's going to be able to save me right here. Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark was the highest grossing film of its year, 1981.
Mm-hmm.
It also received the Library of Congress preservation, where it was in the National Film Registry in 1999. It got pulled in there.
So it's The Matrix.
Yeah, but it didn't come out in 1999, one of the greatest years in summer film ever.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
impressive.
what was Raiders of the Lost Ark going against? Ordinary people?
It beat out On Golden Pond.
That's my favorite fun
And
fact of the day.
Superman 2, Arthur, Stripes, Cannonball Run, Chariots
Okay.
of Fire, For Your Eyes
Cannonball
Only.
Run.
For Your Eyes Only. 4 seasons of Time Bandits.
It's a
But that's-
decent year.
But then you look at The Matrix. The Matrix, it was the fourth behind Phantom Menace, Sixth Sense, and Toy Story 2. So Raiders of the Lost Ark earning also more than 10 times its budget, because I can't do math, and The Matrix earning less than 10 times its budget. I'm voting for Raiders of the Lost Ark based on cold,
those
hard
reasons.
facts, because I cannot decide between these two. I'm having a hard time.
I get you.
My ulcer's acting up.
Help
I
us
don't
out,
have an
Zach.
ulcer. I don't have an ulcer. I just made that up.
You do now.
To get sympathy.
I feel like throughout this bracket, the adventure side has been an asterisk. It's like, yeah, but that's also on here. It's like it's action adventure. If it was just action, it wouldn't go on. So I think on pure action alone and what I feel it did to action movies, I have to go with The Matrix. And I'm just moving on. The Matrix goes on.
Both were right choices,
Raiders,
by the way.
Raiders of the
right.
Lost Ark.
And yet both were wrong.
Yes, indeed.
How is that possible?
There is no spoon.
So that brings us to a final round of Die Hard versus The Matrix. And honestly, I think we got it right.
We did. These are the two movies I think of.
Yep. When you think about action,
There's a lot that I think
you
of,
have
but
the
this-
representative 80s action movie and sort of 90s or modern, more modern
Steampunk,
era.
Cyberpunk. I will go first because this is not an easy decision. Both of these are just iconic pew pew pow pow movies.
I wonder how many times we've said the word iconic.
Every single movie.
Somebody just went back and is now counting.
Yes.
Thank you for posting that on Twitter. But I am going to put this out there once again. Action movies, accessibility level. And I feel like Die Hard is the more accessible movie.
Even though it's older?
Yes.
I think a lot of people don't go back.
Honestly, and this is just my opinion, even though it's, right, I feel like The Matrix feels more dated than Die Hard, which is weird. But it's because that era of like what movies were doing and how they looked and felt, it sits in that time, whereas Die Hard could have been anything previous to the internet.
So dated.
But it doesn't feel as dated.
I think that Die Hard feels dated and The Matrix feels stylized. And that's different to me.
While watching, I just want to point this out. While watching these, I watched both of these with my older children. And while watching Die Hard, they were completely kind of like caught up in the action and enjoying the moment and having a great time. They enjoyed Matrix, but they also made comments like, why are they wearing those sunglasses? Those look weird. And
we chose So Right here. Sorry. What
no. Just essentially they were a little. My daughter was particularly off put by the Matrix because of its kind of darker, grimy feel.
Sure.
Whereas
the green filter.
Yes.
And then in the Die Hard, you just kind of get that straightforward story.
Why did we pick it?
We chose So Right because the hero and villain of each of these movies are great.
We haven't
perfectly
even
matched.
talked about Agent Smith.
Agent
once.
Smith is
Mr.
such
Anderson.
an amazing villain,
so
and
good.
you wouldn't even expect it.
Hans Gruber.
And there is fear in the Matrix when he's in the interrogation, his mouth's being closed up, or he gets the bug in his tummy.
Yep.
There is
We've all had a
so
bug
much
in our tummy.
Been there.
right now. Zach, do you have a choice?
What did you choose, Joel?
I chose Die Hard to move on as the greatest action movie of all time.
The Matrix was top of mind when we started talking about this bracket for me, and so I have to stay consistent with that. Granted, Die Hard was probably the second movie mentioned, but I will go with The Matrix and put it on Kent.
Seems fair.
That's probably age bias, to be honest.
The Matrix is my second favorite movie of all time.
This is an action movie bracket.
You already voted out your sixth favorite movie of all time.
I did. And I'm about to vote out my second favorite movie of all time.
Shoot the glass.
Die Hard goes on because it is
so shocked. You picked what would be expected. Is this a moment of growth for you? You hate picking the
This
obvious
is the
choice.
Nirvana.
You hate picking the obvious
is redemption for Nirvana.
Here's why Die Hard deserves to win. And I love that each of these are the little movie that could.
True.
Keanu Reeves is coming off Johnny Mnemonic. Nobody cared about a cyber tech movie with Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
Bruce Willis was a nobody that they threw a little bit of money at, and they said, hey, get injured while filming this movie. We also have Alan Rickman, for whatever that matters. And both these movies just succeeded so well.
Hugo Weaving. He was in Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
But when it comes to a regular guy saving the day, I'm not going to give it to the hacker. I'm going to give it to this beleaguered husband who's just trying to do right.
And that's the other thing about Die Hard is you have that whole kind of sub-story of his relationship, which adds a whole other level to the movie. It's more than just pew pew pow pow. It is just there's emotional there.
Was it too obvious? Is this too obvious?
Yes, and you did it. Can't pick the obvious choice. Listener, I'd like to point this out as a moment of growth on Baconsale for Kent. This is a new level of maturity. I don't think he's had before.
Oh, no.
Are we going to hear wedding bells this year? Maybe now. I don't know. But
the fates have been changed.
I just looked it up after you voted. I just pulled this up here. And since we did have the names completely stripped out, I didn't know who picked this. I did know there were multiple submissions.
People picked
this. And I had to tell him, no, it's the first person to get it. And the first person to submit Die Hard as the winner of this bracket is Casey Cummings.
There we go.
So Casey,
congratulations.
We'll be reaching out to you. You'll get some Baconsale merch, and you can wear it proudly, knowing that you picked the action-adventure movie of action-adventure movies.
Cool.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah.
But thank you, listener. That was a roller coaster for us, and we hope it was for you as well. And I hope I just assume it's going to end up like all other Baconsale brackets where you say you made some terrible decisions, but you landed where you should have.
Yeah.
So we look forward to reading those comments on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. Let us know if you agree, and let us know if you give these brackets to your friends or coworkers, and they fill it out. I want to know if they landed in the same spot, because it's always intriguing to me if it's just us or if it's everyone.
Take pictures, post it on social media. We absolutely love.
We love seeing those.
Before we go, we want to thank some patrons in a couple of categories, including the I Am the Listener tier, which is Briggs is Hot, Angela Plotz, Casey Cummings, congratulations on the win, Juice the Cooler King Swallow, Andrew Dancing Through the Fire, Sir and Madam Hicks, Jennifer Kilkowski, Braden Winterton, Shannon West, Rocky and Steph, Adam and Rachel Crump, Ryan and Marley, Dave Kelly, Lady Terry A. Finley, and Scott Sprague. And then, of course, we have our Bacon Council, which is Debbie Foster, Glo Clendaniel, our favorite couple, the Madsons, Johnny English the Brick, Star Wars expert Kyler, Her Royal Highness Jessica Terry, Stephen Everyone's Favorite Ross, the one, the only Chris Anderson, Nicole D. Kale, and Beaker.
Thank you, patrons.
Thank you, patrons.
You are the princess to our bride.
Mm.
And once again, thank you to all of you who submitted films. We appreciate your feedback.
We'll be doing this again.
We may just be doing this again sometime soon. Not the same genre, because that would be boring, but we'll see. But if you want to find me, you can find me at 76Joel on Twitter. You can find me performing with Quickwits. They perform at the Midvale Performing Arts Center. For more details, go to qwcomedy.com or go to the Quickwits Facebook page.
If you want to find me on Twitter and Instagram, it's at Kenny3DD. If you want to read my movie reviews, it's ShowtimeShowdown.com.
If you'd like to connect with me, you can do so on Twitter and Instagram at Tumbling Mustard. But more importantly, make sure you're following Baconsale. Please like that Facebook page and visit at Baconsale on Twitter and Instagram. While you're doing that, visit tpublic.com/Baconsale, where you can get yourself some fun merch. We love to see it. Baconsale t-shirts are great. Very soft. Very nice. And then if you like what's going on here and you want to support us further, visit patreon.com/Baconsale, where support starts at just $3 a month. It helps us do what we do here, and you get a bunch of fun benefits in return. So patreon.com/Baconsale. So until next time, hasta la vista, bracket.
I mean, that was a church movie, but it's I don't think it's action.
So Hulu?
That what?
Don't confuse old man Joel.
I'm confused.
Your own nostrils have been the villain the whole time.
How do we vote? Vibes.
Yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon.
Transformers kind of whelms the eye.
You know, we're not actually going to put any clips in. We're just going to have you doing that.
It's going to be a super cut of me just doing mid-reel crap. Dinosaur.
Cool.
Dinosaur. Poor dinosaur.
I'm too thrilled.
I don't want to see the sitting scene of this movie again.
I'm going first this time.
Zack, we always go this way.
Yeah.
That's how we say our names.
You're so mad about that?
Because I'm right.
Like, well, no, Zack hates trees.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't like trees.
You just made the dinosaurs extinct.
Again?
Did you just get nostalgic about shooting a guy?
Are you feeling anxiety right now?
Yes. What does your anxiety tell you?
You're not good enough to be here.
You gave me a cookie. You gave me a cookie. Right before recording.
What happened? Zach, what happened? You're like, I'm getting amped up. Giggle.
It was Joel.
Gurgled.
I know, I heard the gurgle, but it was like 10 seconds after the gurgle.
The gurgle led to the giggle.
I tried to the mic. Don't laugh.
Okay. All right. Should we start over?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.